Well, that sucked. Hopefully that'll upload soon. If not, oh well, whatever. Why is an engraving on this statue says "Spill no evil"? Uh-huh. You got the head? Ah, what vermin do not understand. They worship, fight, or flee. I should send them a few statues of me.
Off. Yep.
How the Mogu found the ointment is a wonder, but a lot has happened since the world been torn asunder.
Ha! Good one.
Alright, we have the handle, head, and the ointment like you asked for. Can you reassemble the mallet? Oh, yup, silly young'un, just put the rod in hole, and the mallet shall again be whole. Good as Nibbly knew, but listen to Monkey King. You only have enough ointment for one true swing. Only one swing? Are we sure this will work? Is there any way to get more ointment? Monkey King was there last time this mallet struck true. Tears came to eyes, harmony felt through. But no more ointment was ever made, for the Mogu came with their raid. Use what you have, be grateful it is there, for the bell is a dangerous weapon, so handle with care. Oh, sorry. Well, that's not ominous at all. Old friend, I hear you've been working with Prince Anduin on the counter to Garrosh's new toy. Listen, Volvoxes, you take care of that kid. He might be in over his head on this one. Watch your back. During the Cataclysm, Anduin helped SI-7 track down the Twilight's Hammer cult operating right inside Stormwind. That kid's gonna be king someday. And not just because of his birth. You keep him out of trouble. Meanwhile... Don't do it, Norlux. By the way, I pre-ordered, like, back in November. Sonona! Nobody give me a straight answer. What happened in Dalaran? That proud Maw woman, she used to be a woman of peace. Look at what she become. Garrosh scorches the earth. And the dead ain't the only victims. Bane says Lortima ain't too happy either. He and I gotta have a talk, soon as I can travel again. So before we continue, I just want to say one thing real quick. So as you know, I have a smartphone now. Here it is. And I was pulling up something, and one of the things is it periodically shows adverts on one of the apps. So, okay, sure. It was an app for Konami slots. Nickel slots, dime slots, you know, gambling. And like, it wasn't just an app for slots, although the app was related to that. There's actually Konami gambling slots in casinos here in the States now. Konami slots. Anyways, just wanted to share that.
Keep your eyes peeled.
I don't want to stress, I'm not talking about pachinko. I'm talking about slot machines, American slot machines. Your efforts have culminated in this moment, Hunter. Warchief Garrosh gathers the most elite champions of the Horde in Kunlai Summit to witness the ringing of the Divine Bell. You have earned the right to participate. Go now. The dawn of the new Horde begins today. Speak to Tak. He should be able to secure your travel arrangements.
May our foes flee before them.
Slots.
Yep.
I got a bad feeling about this wickets. The Monkey King tell me this bad juju. Also, I'm secretly Alliance agent. Sorry to tell you, but I think I trust you. You good wicket. You know hating the Alliance. You know hating the Horde. Oh, sorry. Your Warchief, he got that bell. He's gonna use it to make the Horde stronger. Farewell for the last time, Nessingwari. That's true, they do, okay. But I think the bell's got some power. Bad power. In my professional opinion as a Hosen flight master. Nobody, not Hosen, not human, not orc, should use the Shah. Is that like the in-between Deutsch? Oh. Hey, Murphle. Do I think anyone should use the Shah? Yes. The Lich King should use the Shah. Excuse me. The Lich King should use the Shah, definitely. Hey, just Bender. I agree. Tactec should be the next Hosen King. Can we convert the Shah into gold? Once a week, yes. I like how the last thing he tells you is, be careful. Dispatch Junju. Oh god, I hope not. That didn't even occur to me. Because it comes out in like 10 minutes now. If I suddenly go offline, guys, that's why. It's because Overwatch came out. It's okay. Usually the way that works is if you're already logged in, you can stay logged in. All I have to do is not constantly be changing between characters and... Ah, crap. Alright. This is it. It's time to interact with Malkarok.
Sug.
Let's see, I gotta come up with the dumbest voice I can. I was wondering when you would arrive, Zarona. It's time, Zarona. We traveled long past to waste a moment. Today the Warchief would change the course of our people's history forever. Today we witnessed the birth of Garrosh's disgusting horde. Don't let anything interfere with the ceremony.
Dabu.
Wrath did have a very smooth launch, strangely enough. Wow, look at
the Horde.
Look at all that
We
shit.
are slaves to nothing and no one.
Except me!
With the divine bell, I will burn away any remnants of weakness within us. Fear, despair, hatred, doubt. The lesser races are buried beneath their weight.
Notice how many orcs are here, by the way.
We will control their power. Together, we will destroy the Alliance and claim what is rightfully ours. Let our song of victory begin!
It would be Battle.net getting affected by it, Deutsch. Since they both sit on the same Battle.net over servers.
Our victory is all but assured. With the power of the bell on our side, we will be unstoppable!
Yeah, I'm pretty sure your guys aren't handling the power of the bell all that well, Garrosh. Idiot.
Feel the power within you. Fight your fears. Conquer your hatred.
Hang on, let me kill more of your troops, Garrosh, because you're an idiot.
Feel the power within you. Fight your fears. Conquer your hatred.
Hey, Anduin.
Stop, Garrosh! You do not know what that bell is capable of.
So, in the end, it is not Varian, but his wealth who comes to face me.
I agree, by the way.
You run bravely to your death, young one.
I agree with Grey Wolf, I mean.
I will not let you do this. I swear to it.
Stop me then, human.
I will not fight Anduin. That's not happening.
This pain! I cannot control it! Fight the Shah. Master it. Use it!
Okay, Pokemibo, thank you.
Do you speak the truth, Garrosh? Can the Horde truly survive another war?
Doubt. Also, notice how...
Doubt is for the weak. Do not question your strength, Ishi. We will survive because we must. The Horde will prevail.
Notice Anduin is helping us here, by the way. I just feel like pointing that out. So, I'm going to give away something early. This exact same fight we also see on the Alliance side. The Alliance side has one difference that's critical, which is why we'll be doing the Alliance side. But I really feel like, and I know this isn't really possible, but the Alliance and Horde PCs, in lore, in my headcanon, teamed up in this moment to fight against Garrosh and, well, yeah, Ishi here.
We have lost so much, Warchief. Our families dead, our friends lost, our homeland gone. How much more must our people suffer? Our suffering is at an end. When this war is won, our people will see prosperity at last.
That's despair.
Why should we be slaves to honor when we could slaughter the children of our enemies while they sleep? My blade thirsts for Alliance blood.
That one should be obvious.
Control your hatred, Ishi. There is killing, and then there is murder. Direct your rage to our enemies.
That coming from you is the ultimate irony, Garrosh.
At night, I see the faces of all those I have slain. Where do our spirits go after our bodies lay cold? I fear death.
Fear.
Use your fear, Ishi. Turn it on your foes. When death arrives, will you stand and face it, or kneel in defeat?
If you pay attention, the actual Shah behind him actually changes with each one, which is actually a really nice touch, I think. Anyways, thank you for the donation, Pokemibo. Even though it still startled me. And you're welcome. I'm glad you're enjoying the WoW lore run so far.
Warchief, I have failed you.
Hey, Andy.
Yes, Ishi, you have.
Such a caring, kind leader.
Your interference has cost me a great warrior, young prince. You'll pay with your life!
That is where you are wrong, Garrosh.
I agree, Necro.
The Mogu made the Divine Bell to create chaos, but the Pandaren created a special mallet to turn the echoes of that chaos into perfect harmony. That mallet was hidden for thousands of years, until now.
Die, whelp!
Remember, we don't even know Pride exists at this point. So I gotta be honest, I did this quest first on the Horde, and my first reaction was, oh god, please tell me we didn't just kill Anduin. I honestly thought we had. I honestly thought Anduin was dead after this.
Only the strongest may dwell in Orgrimmar.
They may have destroyed the Divine Bell, but I have taken the life of the Alliance's prodigal son. It is nothing less than my own father would expect of me. This victory may have come at a high cost, but it is of little consequence. I will find other ways to destroy my enemies, and bring glory to the Horde.
There is much I do not know about this artifact. The weak-willed cannot control this Shah energy, but I will master it. At least the human prince is dead. King Rin now knows the price of his continued defiance. Leave me. I have much to think about.
And then he flies away, because he's Garrosh. Why don't we see what happens from the other side of things? Again, I want you to, with me, mentally associate this as if these two quests are literally happening at the exact same time. And the two PCs are both here at the same moment. Because I feel that fits very well for what has happened here. Yes, someone is still drilling. I like the fact that Pride was hidden, actually. It made it even more ominous and intimidating when we built up to it.
The Alliance shall prevail. The soldier's duty is never done.
Horde forces are amassing in huge numbers at the Emperor's Reach, high up in the mountains of the Kun Lai. The area is an ancient Mogu palace, and certainly a source of untold power. This can only mean one thing. Garrosh is going to use the Divine Bell, and Anduin and the Harmonic Mallet are both missing. I have no doubt the fool boy went north by himself. I don't have time to gather an elite force to detain him. You must go and stop Anduin. Fenny can take you. It's about time you showed up. Doomsdays are coming. Garrosh is amassing troops on the northern side of the Kunlai summit. He's going to use the Divine Bell, and light help us if we can't stop him in time. Yeah, exactly, Grey Wolf. Anduin went on ahead. That cheeky, light-spotting, clod-brained fool. Clod-brained fool. I know, right, Necro? Boy's naive to think he can change the Horde and save the world. But he's still just a child. And he is a child in more ways than one. Remember the last time we talked about a character who was foolishly idealistic in this setting? Because we saw what happened to her. You've got to stop the boy. Or help him. One of the two. Wait, I have just the way to deal with Superman. Marketing department. I cast gimmick. It's super effective. We're amassing an army to head Garrosh off, but that'll take time. And the prince may already be in danger. Oh, why can't this dang kite go faster? You know, I was just thinking the same thing. Ironically, this is actually going pretty damn fast, relative to WoW speeds. Please don't bring up the Batman v Superman thing again. Please. I'm really tired of it. Yeah, that's kind of my thinking, Jay Leia. It's also one of the reasons why the reveal of the 7th Shah was such a big moment for me. I'll talk about it. We'll be showing it on camera when they reveal the 7th Shah. And I was just like, oh my god. And me and Pax, who did the quest at the same time when it came out, were just like, dude, this is bad. Holy crap. And then we started talking for a while about the implications of it. Because remember, as of this point in time, we don't know there's a 7th Shah. At all. In fact, there's been basically nothing to indicate there's been a 7th Shah, other than some very quiet hinting here and there. Whatever you do today, hero, you're doing it for the Alliance. No, that's actually not true.
Have you ever seen such a place?
Valvaxis, just the shaman I was hoping to see. You couldn't have arrived at a better time. Garrosh is right over there, and he's going to ring the bell at any moment. We don't have time to wait for my father's army. This is our only chance to stop him. I'll appeal to his senses before resorting to using the mallet. You're going to try to appeal to Garrosh. And you know the fun fact? He'll try to appeal to Garrosh in the future, too. To similar success. Charge in whenever you're ready. I'll be right behind you.
Be careful.
We are the Horde. Slaves to no... Yeah, we kind of already saw this. The hints are very small.
With the Divine Bell, I will...
I'm going to shut him up for a second, because he's the same thing. One of the big hints is the fact that they talked about how Yasharaj was the beast with the 7 heads, and the fact that we knew that Yasharaj was connected to the Mantid, and that this whole land was cursed. And that's pretty much the extent of the hints we had. Those tiny little tidbits. See, all this... So I just want you to picture that, you know, the Horde character's like right over there, while the Alliance character's right up here, and we're like, we got this! I agree, Necro. It's one of the reasons I feel they are the most useful. And most powerful, I should say.
Just as we have passed others.
Yeah, that's not happening, Billy. And yeah, 7 Sins is another thing. Although, admittedly, that didn't occur to me back in the day. I'll admit that.
This is but a test of our strength.
God, that's not...
Just as we have passed others.
Quit that racket, Garrosh. You're worse than anger. Yeesh. Anduin. Anduin. Up there.
Stop, Garrosh! You do not know what that bell is capable of.
So, in the end, it is not Varian, but his whelp who comes to face me. You run bravely to your death, young one.
I will not let you do this. I swear to it.
Stop me then, human.
I would say yes, Night Forager.
This pain! I cannot control it! Fight the Shah. Master it. Use it! We have lost so much. Night. I see the faces of all those I have slain. Where do our spirits go? Warchief. I have failed you. Use your fear, Ishi. Turn it on your foes. When death arrives, will you stand and face? Yes, Ishi. You have.
I kind of skipped through that because it's the same stuff.
Your interference has cost me a great warrior, young prince. You'll pay with your life.
That is where you are wrong, Garrosh. The Mogu made the Divine Bell to create chaos, but the Pandaren created a special mallet to turn the echoes of that chaos into perfect harmony. That mallet was hidden for thousands of years, until now.
Die, whelp!
Ugh.
Your alliance must be at its end if you're sending your children against me. I will let you live, so that you can tell your king of the price of his continued defiance.
I'd just like to say that I am 100% certain the PC could kill Garrosh right there if they wanted to. Garrosh is not that strong. Not compared to other characters. Not in a fight. And certainly not compared to the PC as of the end of Pandaria. So, spoiler alert, Anduin's alive. Anduin looks like a crumbled doll. He lays as still as stone, and only movement comes from the frigid air ruffling his golden hair. You sit quietly for a while, until the cold settles in your bones. The bell is destroyed, but the silence is deafening. Out of the corner of your eye, you see the slightest flicker from the boy's hands. You lean in close. He breathes, just barely. Anduin is alive. Did we do it? He mumbles the words, even though the effort clearly costs him. Look, my bag. It's the flare. Here. Correct, Gnarlex. Anduin never fully recovers from this. Not fully. I saw your flare. Came as quick as I could. Oh, no! Prince Anduin! Yet, just moving him out from under that would be a really risky thing to do right now. Don't worry, I'll get Anduin back to Lion's Landing safely. We'll meet you there. Hi, little Billy. This is why I want to do this on the Alliance, too. No, he is completely unrelated to Arthas, but he is related to several of the old kings of Stormwind, obviously, I suppose. Hey, Anduin.
Adversity, our constant companion.
I hesitate to guess what would have happened if you'd not been there with the young prince. Today you put an end to Garrosh's plans. You've undoubtedly saved thousands of lives, and most importantly brought Anduin back to us. We're doing everything we can for the boy, but we can only wait and see. I believe he has fight in him. I must believe.
Remember, the king is counting on us.
Immediately
Garrosh
before.
attacked my son? Where is he?
Oh, hey, Varian.
Anduin!
Oh, Anduin, what were you thinking? I should have sent you back to Stormwind.
He's alive, but his bones are shattered.
Send for Velen. Bring him here at once.
My king, I promise you, the Kirin Tor will come down on Garrosh so hard his ancestors will reel. Blood will pay for blood!
She cares about Anduin, too.
Jaina. I will end Garrosh for this. His horde already crumbles beneath him. We will deliver the final blow. Champion, you and Anduin thwarted the Warchief today, and won the Alliance a critical victory. But please, leave me now. I must tend to my son, and prepare for our next battle.
I have to admit, I find myself curious what would have happened if Garrosh was allowed to simply use the bell without interference. I like to think that it would have destroyed him, but it still would have made a mess we'd have had to clean up. Not sure if that would have been a good outcome, really. So, as I check my notes here, we're going to go ahead and follow through a little bit on something. You'll have to give me a moment. I have to do some really specific setup for this. Like this. Just a second. This is O2. Yes.
I often venture out here to think. The view is breathtaking. Would you agree? Pandaria is indeed a jewel. Such beauty. It makes you want to protect her, yes? I feel the same way about Azeroth herself. You have done great things, friend. I can assure you, this is but the beginning of our work together. Behold, the power of the foes you've vanquished. And the wisdom of those you've outsmarted. Here, the embodiment of the fear that you've conquered. May it now strike terror into the hearts of your enemies. Finally, a gift from me. Make no mistake, the Black Dragonflight lives on! There. My work is done. You can now greatly augment the power of any Shah-touched weapon. We are just getting started, friend. Our greatest challenges lie ahead. But when war comes to these shores, you and I will be ready for it. Something to eat, please. The High King, Varian Rin, leader of the Alliance. Did you know he was once a gladiator? Oh yes, I've been doing my research. Suffering from amnesia, he fought for his life in Horde arenas. There, he earned the name Logash, or Ghost Wolf. He is a fighter, but is he a leader? Think about it. His enemies took advantage of my father's cataclysm. Horde soldiers thundered across the realm in the wake of the devastation. Varian Rin didn't use the disaster to gain military advantage. Is this because he is weak, or because he is principled? Here's the bigger question. Can principles win a war? Make no mistake, Pandaria will challenge your king. Let us see what he is truly made of. Let us see if your alliance has what it takes to rule Azeroth.
This then leads to the PvP quests, which I hated, by the way.
You have proven to be an exemplary hero, a champion for your cause. Do you recall our earlier conversation? We discussed the merits of your High King. I have been observing him closely. It is true. He has the spirit of the wolf, and he fights like a wolf. Having seen him in action, I now know what that means. Wolves are pack animals. Your king is calling his pack to him, assembling an alliance in the truest sense of the word. His journey is long. He has only taken the first steps. But with heroes like you in his pack, there is little your alliance cannot accomplish. Tom, fetch my things. Your dedication to your cause deserves to be rewarded. Like you, I continue to refine my skills here in Pandaria. I think you will appreciate the outcome. Choose your reward.
So that's after we do the PvP stuff, which leads more or less directly into the next step of things. I'm actually still setting up for that, but it's okay, because I got something else to show you while we get ready for that.
Pandaria, her hills of gold, in dark and mournful times of old, did once a hopeless horror hold. When from her sacred veil did spring, with storm and flash, a monstrous thing, his name, Lei Shen, the Thunder King. His thunder boomed across the land, and none who dared and fought could stand against the Iron Tyrant's hands. A palace grand, a walled domain, such mighty works born of his reign, built by slaves, their hearts in chains. But seasons change and tyrants die, his fury spent in times gone by. The thunder slept beneath Kunlai.
Secure the remains, brothers.
By Zandalari hands, he has been taken. By Zandalari voice, he has awakened. heroes. Sound the drums. The Thunder King comes. The Thunder King comes.
Sorry, but I love that trailer. It's funny that it took two relatively weaker powers uniting in order to make something that is absolutely terrifying. Now, before we get to the Throne of Thunder proper, people have asked me to show it off, so I'm going to. Welcome to the Isle of Giants. So, this place is pure, unmitigated, total lack of lore Farmsville. Seriously, this place is Farmsville. The only reason to come here is to farm bones, to get pets, to random pets and mounts, and of course to fight the raid boss. Now, I will freely admit I have actually still to this day never killed the raid boss. The Isle of Giants has basically no lore attached to it, so we're only going to be poking at this very briefly. I'm basically just showing it off for the fun of it. But yeah, so you fight dinosaurs, they drop bones, you need several thousand bones to purchase the things you actually want. There is, of course, one of those large Zandalari ships there. If you can't quite tell the size of it, well, Zandalari are quite large and, well, they just faded, but there was a really tiny Zandalari right there. These are probably, like, bigger than most of the gunships we see in this game. Now, you'll notice this place is farmed to hell and back. That's because most people were basically incapable of farming this place back during Pandaria. But now, everyone's level 100 with Warlord's gear, so now they can actually go back and actually farm this place. So, it's pretty crowded. I have actually yet to bother to go and farm this place. The only actual lore relevance to this place is there are many, many dinosaurs here. Those things, dire horns, devil swords, and all the rest, right? Well, these are elites, okay, so back in the day, it would take quite a while. But the point is, this is where the Zandalari would get quite a few of their larger dinosaur spawn from, basically. It depends, Titans. This guy right here
I got what you need.
is pretty much the only real way out of here with his abandoned ship here. But anyways, so yeah, that's it. Isle of Giants. Moving on. I told you there wasn't much. Why don't we show off the real content they added in this patch, 5.2. Now, when this actually came out, I actually already talked about this. The zone was not all open all at once. You know, everything wasn't available at the start. And instead, we'll do Alliance first. Nothing that matters. Instead, you basically got here, and based on the progress of your server doing the dailies and whatnot, you would unlock moving in. I'm going to try and demonstrate what I mean by that. So here's the actual Isle of Thunder. You started out, and we had a base camp right here, and we had dailies right around here. Then we moved in a bit, and we had some more dailies around here, and then we actually established actual base camps over here and over here, I want to say, and then the rest of the dailies were all opened up at that point. So we had dailies across the entire thing. Yes, it was another Sunwell Plateau Isle of Keldanis thing. It was pretty well done, and the dailies were fun. And as you progressed through, additional scenarios. Thanks, Gnarlex. It's actually not complete yet. I need Heroic Throne of Thunder gear to complete it. Actual solo scenarios. So here's Varisa.
Never forget Theramore.
We must move quickly, Valvaxis. The others have gone ahead of us, but I'll brief you on the flight over.
The Pandaren are deeply concerned about the return of this Thunder King, but I am more concerned about the Horde.
Of course you
We can
are.
talk during the flight. This is a monstrous war.
This is no time to waste. Every moment we delay gives the Sun Reavers more of a hold on the Isle. Lady Jaina Proudmoore awaits us. We should not make her wait any longer.
For the Alliance. Goodbye. Over 12,000 years ago, the Mogu Empire was founded by Lei Shen, the Thunder King. He united the Mogu,
conquered the other Pandaren races, and built an empire that would last for thousands of years.
Well, that's a bit of an
Legend
exaggeration.
has it that the Thunder King possessed enormous power and built himself a palatial fortress. We should be able to see it soon.
I like how you're taking one of my favorite characters and completely making a mockery of him, Deutsch. I was going to point that out myself when we actually show the throne itself, Necro. Which speech, Chris? Drill. So here's the Throne of Thunder. The Isle of Thunder, excuse me. This was actually sunk beneath the waves. We're not sure why. Lei Shen and the Zandalari ripped it back up from the sea. It's one of the reasons why this place has the aesthetic it does. You'll see more of that as we go through it. Note the arcane shields on the boats. It's a nice touch. So here's the thing. While the other forces of the Horde and the Alliance are off doing things in the background, fighting each other, blah blah blah, the forces that go after the Thunder King are the Kirin Tor and the Silver Covenant, and the Blood Elves of Silvermoon and the Sun Reavers for the Alliance and the Horde, respectively. I actually like that, because it kind of emphasizes the secular nature of the two sides, Alliance and Horde, and it also makes sense that the Kirin Tor would be more interested in the place than the Alliance proper, just as the Silvermoon people. I'll talk more about Silvermoon's motivation in a bit. For now, we're doing the Alliance stuff. So, hello, Jaina.
Magic must be controlled, or it will control you.
You've arrived just in time. This land needs to be controlled by the Kirin Tor for everyone's safety. This will not be an easy task.
Be careful who you trust. This has been the worst year of my life. Theramore destroyed, and a betrayal from within the Kirin Tor.
It's okay, you got Kalek out of it.
From here on out, I am taking the initiative. Just down the coast, the Horde is searching for a place to land their troops. They seek to defeat the Thunder King, not to protect Pandaria, but to claim his power for themselves.
Uh-huh.
But this time, we're a step ahead.
Uh-huh.
The Horde will find no purchase on these shores, and when the Thunder King lies beaten, the Pandaren will see that it was Alliance heroes who stood by them in their hour of need. This fight will take everything we have. I hope you are ready.
Please don't remind me of that Brig when I hate that scene. Two of... Mwah, mwah.
Have you come to help the Alliance?
The Shadow Pawn arrived here before we did. They are already at work undermining the Thunder King's forces. I want you to meet with Taran Zhu, leader of the Shadow Pawn. Yeah, I know who he is, thanks.
Peace is not always the answer.
Our scouting forces along the coast have given us invaluable intelligence about the island. However, we will accomplish nothing if we do not advance to the mainland. I have assembled a team of our most elite aerial units to begin the attack. I would like to join the assault. A champion such as yourself could turn the battle at a critical moment. When you're ready to begin the attack, speak with me.
Question everything.
So this introduced the idea of solo scenarios. I don't quite like solo scenarios, but they are a good way to advance story. Yeah, that is correct, Necro. She's literally just bad-mouthing the Horde, because they're the Horde.
I've selected a landing site on the island. High ground that's easily defended. Unfortunately, the Zandalari trolls have already claimed and fortified it.
What'd you expect? They're the Zandalari.
They're protecting it with a powerful spirit barrier. We'll need to take it down before we can portal our troops in. Champion, I need you to lead a ground assault and shatter that barrier from within. Mount up and rendezvous with Varisa Windrunner. She is organizing the forces that will accompany you.
Okay. There it is. Not sure when I lost this link, but I'm pulling it up now so I can share it with you. I'm gonna have to pull these up manually, but that's okay, I can do that. It's just some additional lore I want to share with you, don't worry, guys. Waterlogged, torn, blood splattered, frayed, and ironbound. Perfect. Okay. Hey, Myron. Go to sleep.
Up here, champion!
And yes, that's one of the 3 Windrunners.
I think we have figured out a way to ward our flying mounts against the lightning, but fly in loose formation just in case.
Yeah, notice how there's constant lightning strikes here? I'll talk more about that later.
Our continued incursions into the graveyard and town below are already paying off. Neither the Mogu nor the Zandalari should be able to mount a counterattack.
Do you know nothing of the Zandalari?
Do you see the central tower? Lightning strikes it continuously. We suspect the storms originate from the heart of the palace itself.
There's a really cool effect when the
Thunder
lightning
King's
hits a tree.
palace lies ahead.
By the way.
We must secure a foothold on the island before we can assault his fortress.
You can sort of see it there if you look carefully. See that right there?
The
It's pretty cool
rendezvous
looking.
is just up ahead. We have gathered an elite strike force. What? Anar Allah! The skies betray us! We are not safe up here! Down! Everybody down! Hold on!
Down we go.
Champion, are you all right? They were ready for us all along. Our forces are scattered and we are on our own.
Okay, Skypad Meanie. I have no idea what that has to do with
They
anything.
come! To arms, me brothers! Hurl them back to the sea!
Ah! Zandalari!
So much for the element of surprise.
Yeah, no, they knew you were coming. I'm sorry, this is the Zandalari, okay?
Ah! You have not seen the full might of the Zandalari!
No, we haven't. We probably never will.
They are
Yeah.
falling back. We need to press the assault before they can regroup. Follow me.
Yes, this is the Thundering Mountain. Remember, this didn't used to be an island. Before the Sundering.
The entrance is barricaded. Break it down!
Hold the ruins! Slay them where they stand!
By the way, if you are a fairly low-geared character trying to do this quest at a fresh 90, these scenarios could actually be pretty rough.
Good work, hero. Let's move on.
At least she doesn't call us mortal, right?
Crush the intruders! The barrier must not fall!
Be quick on your feet. That is no ordinary Zandalari.
You're no kidding. Not quite that rough, Night Forager. But it was pretty rough.
I like your style, hero.
I am, of course, level 100. Hi, Myron, again. Go back to sleep. By the way, a nice touch is the fact that she's actually wielding all Northrend gear. You can recognize all of it from pieces you could get up in Northrend.
They are protecting that mask. It must be the source of the barrier.
Face me now!
Destroy it.
My will is iron! My people unbreakable!
Okay. This fight actually is really rough. Legitimately. When fighting it in the day. I'm very glad I'm doing this at 100. This would have
The
taken
shield!
so
It is
long
down!
without that.
We did it! Jaina was right to recommend you. You saved this mission from disaster, and saved my life.
That's the Alliance spirit for you. Unstoppable. Varisa, establish a perimeter. Modera, place the sentry wards. Narasi, begin porting in tents and supplies. Everyone, take up positions. Enemies surround us on all sides. There is no time to waste.
Possibly, Necro? We did it! Yay!
The Alliance needs heroes like you more than ever. I'm trying to think here. Champion, you have exceeded my expectations. Our position on the Isle is secured, thanks to your courage and your will. Now, the true work begins.
So, here's the Alliance encampment. There's a whole bunch of dailies you can do here. Obviously, we will not be doing any of those, because screw all that noise. Dailies and a Lorerun? Pshaw. As you can see, we've kind of appropriated some of the area for our own Mage Tower purposes. It's not a bad outpost, but I actually prefer the Horde one. Oh, speaking of which, why don't we go ahead and allow the Sunreavers to get a foothold here, shall we? I think that's kind of important. We'll be seeing another one of those duplication things in a bit, so I hope you'll forgive my indulgence.
Glory to the Sindori. You are here. The Regent Lord has asked about you specifically. Are you ready to go? For Silvermoon.
Yes, that's right. Lorthamar specifically wanted us.
Shirella wrong. Pandaren legends tell of Lei Shin, the Thunder King. He was the brutal founder of the Mogu Empire over 12,000 years ago. He united the Mogu, defeated the other Pandaren races, and founded a glorious nation with the slave labor of those he conquered.
That sounds terrible.
The Thunder King built a palatial fortress on the borders of his empire. We should see it soon.
Aren't all of my Lorerun's marathons Titans? I mean, really, how many of them last under a week? I like the wave effects they added. They did it just to make it look cool. It's a nice touch. See him right there? So, the motivations for the Alliance coming here, we've already mentioned. The Sunreavers are here for a slightly different reason. They're not just here to defeat the Thunder King. Although, let's be honest with ourselves, these guys have absolutely been here to take down the Thunder King. They absolutely want to do that. But they're interested in something else. No, not empowering the Garrosh's horde. No, not giving more weapons to his high idiousness. What the Blood Elves want from here is weapons for themselves. Just for the Blood Elves. Not for Garrosh. And I make that distinction because at this point in time, Lorthamar is no longer considering joining the Alliance. He's considering taking over the Horde. And so he wants as many secret weapons as he can. And, you know, he basically is trying to gain from the technology and from the resources and whatnot and magic of Lei Shen in order to empower his forces. And I'll go ahead and give you the spoiler now. He will actually succeed at that. The gathering technology, not the conquering the Horde thing.
The Blood Elves will endure any hardship, overcome any obstacle, and emerge strong. Aethys, leave us for a moment.
I like how Aethys' response to that is to
You
pour
have
it out.
served the Horde nobly across many campaigns. I feel I can take you into confidence.
Well, I didn't kill you last time, so you're probably right.
Our Warchief's campaign across Kalimdor and Pandaria is pulling the Horde apart at the seams. We're here to fight the Thunder King. Justice demands it, and Hellscream is too preoccupied at Domination Point to pay attention here. But in defeating him, we must seek out the source of his great power. We must claim it for ourselves, as leverage against our Warchief. In the event of an uprising, we must be prepared.
Yes,
Heads
that's
up.
Gideon Emery.
Ha! It will feel good to bloody my blade again. Against Alliance or Mogu, does not matter to me. Enough talk. You know how precarious our position is. Between the Alliance and the Thunder King, only with the help of heroes like you can we hope to succeed here.
They're just rumors, Bender. There's no significance to
Anarala
them.
Belore, hero. Good luck.
Seriously, they're just rumors.
As Regent Lord of Quel'Thalas, I will defend my people against any who would do us harm. The Eternal Sun guides us all. As Regent Lord of Quel'Thalas, I have selected a landing site for our forces, a small peninsula to our east that is easily defended. Alas, the Zandalari trolls have already claimed and fortified it.
It's the same
We
actor.
are protecting
Deutsch.
it with a powerful spirit barrier. We will need to disable it before our ships can land. Champion, I need you to lead a ground assault and take down that barrier from within.
I forget the name of the game, but he plays in a war game
Mount
where he
up
does a
and
different
rendezvous
voice.
with Scout Captain Elsia. She is organizing an elite group of rangers to accompany you. May the light of the sun shine upon you.
Up here, champion.
Hey, what's up?
The Sun Reavers have devised a way to ward our flying mounts against the lightning. But fly in loose formation, just in case.
Yeah, we know how this is going to end, don't we?
Look below. Our continued assaults on the town and crypts have thrown the enemy into disarray. The Mogu and the Zandalari already fear the might of the Horde. Do you see the central tower? Lightning strikes it continuously. Aethys suspects that the storms originate from the heart of the palace itself.
Again, we'll talk about that later.
The Thunder King's palace lies ahead. We must secure a foothold on the island before we can assault his fortress.
Now I have to admit, that
The other rangers
palace
are waiting for us just
is
ahead.
really
Our first
impressive looking to
priority
me.
is-
Look at that thing. It's monstrously huge. This is one of the only times we get a real shot of the whole thing, too.
By the Sunwell! The skies betray us! We are not safe up here!
I'm sorry, but the trolls are awesome. Y'all can go screw yourself. Trolls for life, yo.
Hold on!
Trolls for life. If I could roll a troll... Wait.
Champion, are you alright?
Yeah, I'm okay. Are you?
We were not safe, at all. They were waiting for us. Our forces are scattered throughout the swamp, and we are alone behind
They
enemy
come!
lines.
To arms, me brothers! Hurl them back to the sea!
No, not good.
You have not seen the full might of the Zandalari!
We will. I want you to see this.
They are pulling back, but we cannot let up now.
Every now and again, lightning strikes the
Our only hope
trees,
of getting out of here alive is to take the town.
and it looks like that. And it's awesome.
The
In case
entrance
you-
is barricaded. Break it down.
I should explain what that is, by the way. That's not a teleporting
Hold the
T-Rex.
ruins! Slay them where
As you
they
might
stand!
imagine. That is actually them calling upon the Loa of a particular animal, which they are using to empower their attacks. Because these are the trolls. These are as trolls get, too.
Good work, hero. Let's move on.
I'll talk a lot more about the Zandalari as we go through the Isle of Thunder here. I mean, I've already talked about the Zandalari a lot, so I guess I won't. But I'll talk a little bit about them. Just a little bit.
Crush the intruders! The barrier must not fall!
I do not like the look of that troll. Be careful!
I like this boss better than the other one, personally. Berserker from Hell.
You make this look easy.
Well, I had some help from my Alliance friend. Oh, wait, I'm not supposed to tell you that. Come here, raptors. Come here, boys. Come here. Those are good raptors. Those are good raptors. Hey, Chaos. I attack you with order. Oh, I'm sorry. You coming, Elsa? Oh, whatever, I got this. God, that's cathartic. I hated that boss.
The shield! It is down! We did it! Champion, without your help, I would have died in that swamp. I owe you my very life.
You're welcome.
Victory to the Sindori, and another triumph for the Horde.
Real
Romath,
Horde.
establish a perimeter. Aethys, begin placing the sentry wards. Cathiel, unload the shelters and supplies. Brothers and sisters of the Horde, enemies surround us on all sides. Your courage in weeks to come will be the difference between victory and defeat.
Before we go any further, I have to read you a short story.
The Blood Elves will endure any hardship. Champion, you have brought glory to the Horde. Your unshakable will has secured our position here. Now, the true work begins.
As I said, I like the Blood Elf side better. It just has a little more panache to it. So I said I'd tell you about Desco and why I feel so bad for him later. Where is he? Did he move? Desco should be like right over here. And he isn't. And I'm actually not sure what to make of that. That's really odd, actually. Let me go ahead and summarize something for you. If you were to see Desco here, remember how I pointed him out down in the Krasarang Wilds? He had one of his newborn children on his chest and the other on his back. If you see him here, he doesn't. And I'm going to tell you why. Actually, let's go ahead and leave the thunder sounds going. Desco clutched a lock of his dead wife's hair and waited for the ritual to begin. The Shrine of Two Moons loomed behind him, dark and silent in the night. Even the mountain city's normally bustling golden terrace was quiet. For that, Desco was thankful. He and his Dawnchaser Trabe had the great stone platform to themselves, and now was no time for distractions. A gust of warm air flowed over the terrace, rustling the white plainshawk feathers and the small earth-toned wooden charms tied to Desco's horns, wrists, leather vest. He eyed the ceremonial trappings, disappointed. If he'd been back home on Mulgore, he would have worn the proper ritual garb. But here, in the strange and distant land of Pandaria, he was forced to make do with the resources at hand. Lisa would understand, he told himself. She wouldn't mind. Desco shook away his worries and stared out at the terrace, down across the moonlit hills and wooded thickets, blanketing the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. Even at night, this place was mesmerizing. This is obviously before the siege incident. In fact, obviously, because this is happening before / right prior to the Throne of Thunder patch. A crucible for change, Lisa had called it. A valley golden with blossoms, filled with the hope of peace. For months she dreamed of the Vale. Desco and the other Taran had seen visions of it as well, but they'd been strongest in Lisa. Without her, the tribe would have never succeeded in its arduous journey to find Pandaria, and from there, the Vale hidden deep in the heart of the continent. The search had been brutal. Violent storms had destroyed 3 ships filled with members of Desco's tribes. Friends. Family. When the last remaining vessel made landfall in Pandaria's sweltering coastal jungle, more death followed. The fact that Lisa was pregnant made Desco increasingly worried about the dire situation. And then his wife contracted a fever that, despite the tribe's efforts, seemed incurable. Through it all, she remained steadfast, a beacon of hope, as every Sunwalker strived to be. "It's still night," she'd say, "but the sunrise is near. I can feel it just ahead." And then she finally went into labor, and the strain proved too much for her ailing body. She died weeks before the tribe would ever find the veil, still believing the hardships were almost over. Desco remembered that dark day with biting clarity. We were there for that. His wife's last tormented cry as the fever sapped the life from her veins, his failed attempts to spare her from death, and later, the smoke and fire that roiled up from her funeral pyre. "The bleeding sun!" one of the Tauren behind Desco shouted, bringing him back to the present. Dull light pushed away the darkness, painting the veil in shades of violet and gold. It was the moment before dawn, the fleeting time of day when Anshi, the sun, remained hidden, but somehow a glimmer of his light managed to spill across the world. "Bring the children," Desco motioned with his hand, keeping his eyes to the east. Lisa's cousin, Nala, quietly approached, holding the 2 infant Taran in her arms, his 2 children. Ceremonial feathers and beads dangled from their tiny horns. The first was called Redhorn, the second Cloudhoof. Desco handed the lock of his wife's mane to Nala and scooped Lisa's final gift to him into his arms. "Begin," Desco commanded. Without hesitation, 12 Taran sitting behind him pounded their fists on small leather drums. Their beat was quick, a warrior's heart on the eve of battle. As Nala braided Lisa's hair into Desco's mane, he leaned onto his sons. "Watch closely, little ones," he whispered. They were too young to understand what was happening, but it felt right telling them. "Every morning, Anshi bleeds. He sacrifices part of his light to us to let us know that dawn is coming. But he doesn't do this alone. The Yena help him. Your mother helps him." Yesterday, the twin moons had appeared during the day for the first time since Lisa's death, signaling that her spirit had finally joined the Yena, those who herald the dawn. She was in good company now, alongside all those other great ancestors who had died in the process of saving lives or, as with Lisa, making new ones. The drumbeat slowed as Anshi peeked over the Vale's impassable mountains. Sunlight shimmered across fields of honey-colored grass. Gold leaves rustled in the breeze of tall ivory trees. Desco had seen sunrise here many times, but was still amazed by how brilliant Anshi's light was. It was as if his gaze was fixed on the Vale, and all other lands merely basked in a reflection of his light. The beauty of the face was cruel, in a way. Things were supposed to have gotten easier once Desco and his tribe had reached the Vale. But they hadn't. Battle was raging. Horde politics had become a daily annoyance. Dozens of refugees from the war-torn lands of the northern region streamed into the shrine morning and night, searching for food, shelter, respite from strife. And then just a few days ago, his boys had taken ill, crying, refusing to eat. Desco and Nala had tried to puzzle out the sickness with no success. By Anshi's grace, Redhorn and Cloudhoof seemed normal this morning. Perhaps the ritual had healed them somehow. "Look," Nala said. Desco peered over the terrace railing. This is a long story, by the way. I hope you're in for this one. A cluster of figures moved along the well-worn stone and dirt paths leading to the shrine. In the dawning light, their shadows reached across the ground like outstretched arms. "The Golden Lotus," Desco said, recognizing one member of the group who was different from the last. Mokimo the Strong's gait was unmistakable, even from afar. Like all of the Hosen race, he had long, muscular arms that nearly dragged along the ground when he walked. Desco couldn't make out the other Lotus, but he was surprised so many of the Vale's ancient guardians were coming to the shrine. Normally, they kept to the Golden Pagoda, their meeting place in the center of the land. "Do you think this has anything to do with the rumors?" Concern tinged Nala's voice. "Never put faith in rumors," he said. He'd heard the talk. Stories about the Vale's caretakers meeting in secret and visiting locations throughout the regions for some unknown purpose. As the ambassador between the Lotus and Desco's people, Mokimo would have been able to explain what's going on, but he'd been away from the shrine for over a week. Regardless, Desco didn't see any need to worry. The Lotus were a mysterious order, yes, but they were his trusted allies. I know, but I'm more concerned about the younglings. We aren't sure if the sickness has passed yet. Visitors might make it worse. She stroked Redhorn's cheek. Ever since Lisa's passing, her cousin had become fiercely protective of the children. Take them inside while the Lotus are here. And then he added, after the ceremony. With that, he turned back to the rising sun. Loud voices and heavy footsteps began echoing through the terrace as early morning risers flooded out of the shrine's catacomb halls. Merchants groaned as they set up rickety stands. Refugees huddled together and shared food. Orcs, blood elves, Taran, all members of the Horde who had followed Desco into the Vale mingled on the platform. Page 2 of 10, by the way. Desco commanded extra guards to patrol the terrace in order to prepare for the visitors. He'd lived at the shrine for weeks now, acting as the city's de facto leader, and almost every day he'd have to deal with fights and arguments breaking out between members of the Horde. The scuffles were never serious, but he dreaded the thought of the Lotus seeing how chaotic the place could become. They had welcomed Desco and his people here, a land the Lotus had guarded for centuries with open arms. It was the Taran's responsibility to honor that. After changing out of his ritual garb and donning his armor, Desco gathered 4 Dawnchaser guards and awaited the Lotus at one of the great curving staircases leading up to the terrace. 2 golden statues towered at either side of the steps. The monstrous figures grimaced fiercely, pointing long spears down at the stairs as if to ward off any who would ascend. Desco's blood boiled just looking at them. They were the Mogu, a brutish race that had once ruled the Vale, using the power to build an empire of hate. He had battled some of them before. They were mighty and ruthless opponents, devoid of honor. Fortunately, their empire had fallen long ago. But things were changing. One of the Mogu, known as the Shao Tian, had managed to infiltrate the Vale. Desco heard numerous reports about their growing numbers. As he waited at the terrace steps, he wondered if the war between the Shao Tian and the Lotus had taken a new turn. Why else would so many of the Vale's protectors be coming to the shrine? The question lingered in his head until the visitors arrived. Desco was glad he'd taken the time to get the terrace in order when he saw Z the Harmonious among the caretakers. There were few people in Pandaria whom he respected more than the sage Pandaran leader of the Golden Lotus. "We are not disturbing anything, I hope. We heard drums as we approached," Z said. "Not at all. It was a ritual to honor my wife, but it ended at dawn." "Your wife, yes. Do Taran honor their dead all in the same way?" "Yes, the ritual is an ancient one. It was nearly lost to memory before the Sunwalkers breathed new life into it. The ceremony fits well with our beliefs." "Interesting. There's much I wish to ask about your order. I see many similarities between it and the Lotus. When the turmoil in the Vale settles, we will have to talk." "I would like that." He looked over at the other Lotus members who were nearby. The Taran had met some of them when he'd first arrived in the Vale, but only briefly. One familiar face was Weng the Merciful, a plump, soft-spoken Pandaran who was a fixture at the shrine. And then there was Mokimo. The immense Hosen wore a sturdy piece of wood and iron armor. He kept his hair pulled back into a short ponytail. Tufts of white-gray fur framed a long, hairless face that was marked by teal paint. Mokimo glanced furtively around the terrace, and then, as he sometimes did, spat out a string of incomparable words in his own native language. "No cubs?" the Hosen finally asked in a language he understood. "I'm afraid they need to rest.
I am born of thunder!"
I'm afraid they need to rest. They've been up since dawn." "Oh, I see." Mokimo's tail drooped in disappointment. "Perhaps later." Desco gave the Hosen a hearty pat on the back, although he was glad his sons were inside the shrine. Their illness had returned after the Yina ceremony, much to Desco's distress. But more than that, he felt if disaster was just around the corner whenever Mokimo was near his children. The Hosen were a rambunctious people, prone to profanity and mischief, and although Mokimo spoke and carried himself more like a Pandaran, the younglings brought out the Hosen in his blood. The way Mokimo talks about them, you'd think they were his cubs," Chi chuckled. I'm wondering about the children, though. Are they healthy? Well, they're growing quickly, as they should. I see. Well, we'd best get to work, then. I know you're busy here. I don't want to take you away from your duties more than I already have. Z motioned towards the waiting Lotus. They sprang into action, hurrying to the clot of refugees. Ah, damn it. Looks like I was too slow. Near the shrine's entrance. The others unclasped blocks of a large wooden chest they brought with them. If there's any way I can help, please tell me, said Curiosity. Well, I wish there were, but the truth is we've come at the behalf of the Celestials. Desco tried to hide his surprise. Yep, he's already dead. Damn it. Oh well. Back we go. The Celestials? Here? I lost my place. Z had once told him that the four great spirits had watched over Pandaria since before recorded history. They were akin to gods as far as Desco was concerned, and that's because Desco's an idiot and doesn't understand what a Loa is. Oh, excuse me. It was the Celestials who opened the Veil up to outsiders not long ago, believing people like Desco and his Taran could help the Lotus defend the region. As you know, Z continued, the Veil is large, and we Lotus are few. Now, with the Xiao Ten encroaching, our fear our numbers will grow even smaller. We are here to seek new members. There are many of the Horde who would be honored to join you. Oh, I'm afraid it is not as simple as that. The Celestials, they guide us in this task. They tell us exactly whom we should look for. Until now, that is. The spirits are greatly distraught. Their messages have become muddled. Recently, the Celestial told me a worthy guardian exists here, in the Veil of all places. In the past, our order has always ventured outside the region to find new guardians. Then I realized why the spirits had directed us here. This land is home to many other people. Master Z, called Wang, we are ready. One moment, Z replied. All that is left is perform a simple test. It will be quick. I will speak with you afterward. But Z had already strolled off towards the gong. As the Taran stared on, disappointed, he'd been hoping the Lotus would ask something of him, some kind of help. The Horde was assisting with the war effort, but Desco himself was feeling more and more useless. Nearly all of his time was consumed keeping watch over the shrine. Oh, I hope it works, Mokimo said, wringing his hands together. We've been to every corner of Veil the past week. I can't even remember how many cubs we've performed this test on. Cubs? Desco asked. Suddenly he noticed all the refugees standing by the gong held small children in their arms. Our members are chosen at young age. When I was but a child, Z traveled to my village in the Dade Forest to give me new life. We've had to resort by other means to finding members now. 3 days ago, we rang Singing Gong. It sends out calls to any children who are in some way tied to Celestials. Well, that's what the old writings say, at least. Test has not been done till recently. 3 days ago, he said, more to himself than anything else. He tried to remember when Redhorn and Cloudhoof had become sick. Was it 3 days ago? Was it longer? He couldn't recall with clarity. What happens when the gongs ring? I don't know, he replied. No one does. I suppose child become upset, like illness. Purpose is to show which child has potential. Ringing the gong a second time is meant to soothe the cub, and so verify they have been chosen. That would follow by some kind of signal from the Celestials. Desco's pulse quickened. Beads of sweat trickled down his snout. An illness. One of the Lotus handed Z an iron mallet. The Elder gripped it in his paws and slammed it into the gong. The silver disc vibrated and swung forward, but there was no sound. At least, not that Desco or anyone else could hear. None of the Pandaren couples or their cubs react. No sign from these Celestials. Nothing happened. Relief flooded through Desco as he thought of his children. And why would anything have happened to them? The Golden Lotus was composed of Pandaren races, Jinyu, Pandaren, Horzan. His children were Taran, foreigners. Desco felt a pain of sorrow as he looked at the others in the crowd. The Order's members had lived in peace for so long. Now war was at their doorstep, and the Celestials who... Someone in the crowd screamed. The gong trembled violently. Cracks spread out from the center of the disc like spiderwebs. The silver artifact crumbled to the terrace in shards. A gold and blue sphere hovered out of it into the air. Slowly it twisted and expanded into the form of a giant red crane. Chi-ji, Z said, remaining calm. They all bowed in unison. The call is answered. the Red Crane's avatar said. Not here, he said after a bit, after peering at each of the Pandaren cubs in turn. The Celestial's head snapped up at the gilded face of the shrine jutting out from the mountainside. Suddenly he marched through the city's immense doorway. The crowd lingered for a moment, and then surged after the Red Crane. Desco shoved forward, his thoughts on his 2 children. He passed through the shrine's vaulted hallways, racing to Summer's Rest. He knew Nala would have taken his boys to the inn, tucked to the eastern side of the forest. And so did Chiji. To Desco's horror, the Red Crane was already there, looming over the folded wood and paper partitions that demarked each of the inn's rooms. Nala was inside, standing in defensive position over 2 small cradles. "You are not the mother," Chiji said curiously. Desco brushed past the Celestial and put his hand on Nala to calm her. The children looked up from their cradles. They were giggling for the first time in days, reaching up towards Chiji. "There must be some mistake." It took all of Desco's strength to keep his voice even. "You are the father." The Celestial's eyes locked on Desco, burning like twin suns, fiery and unrelenting. The Taran felt the Red Crane peering into him. "The mother is dead. She died in childbirth, but in death she gave 2 lives. You call them Cloudhoof and Redhorn, but that's not their real names." "Oh, not real names?" Mokimo came through. "No," Desco said, looking at the Red Crane in astonishment. Redhorn and Cloudhoof were the child's weaning names. I actually talked to you guys about this all the way back in Krasarang. A rare tradition the tribe carried. In time, they would take on their true names, one for an old and dear friend who had died in Pandaran's coastal jungle, and the other for a new friend who had helped his tribe. "I did not foresee twins. Only one need serve the veil." "I understand. Children from afar. I never expected this, my friend. It had crossed my mind, of course, but I never thought it was a real possibility." "They're my sons," Desco said, struggling to make sense of it. "What you're asking me is to protect that which you have traveled so far to protect, to honor your wife's dream, to sacrifice for the veil as she did. It is good you have 2. One will help the veil, and one will stay with you. The only thing left to do is to choose." Chiji's avatar faded into smoke. "Wait!" Desco shouted, but there was no reply. The Red Crane disappeared. The Lotus members clapped in celebration. Behind them, refugees worked their way toward the children, their faces blurred together. Nala showed a Pandaran who was reaching out for Red Horde, sending him crashing into the partition. Someone slapped Desco hard on the back. He whirled in defense, but he saw Mokimo, grinning wide. "What a day! What a glorious day this has become!" Choose. Chiji's command haunted Desco, following him like a restless spirit for hours. By the time his aimless wandering brought him out to the Golden Terrace, Anshi had long since disappeared beneath the western horizon. Redhorn and Cloudhoof slept peacefully in their baskets, one at Desco's back, one on his chest. That he had made these baskets when they were born. They were connected by a lengthy chunk of rope that hung over his shoulders. The whole contraption had been a great boon during his journeys through Pandaria, helping him keep his younglings close and have his shield and mace at the ready. These lands were filled with so many dangers that he'd refused to let the children out of his sight for even a short period of time. Little good my weapons do me now, he thought. This late at night, the platform was nearly empty. A few orcs squatted under the bazao tree, sharpening their blades with whetstone. Near the shrine entrance, blood elves in long flowing robes talked heatedly about the magical properties of the veil. Normally, Desco would have greeted them all, but tonight he passed without a word. "A golden opportunity, if you ask me," he heard one of the orcs. "There's power in the veil, yes? That's why we've come. The Alliance is here too. Right now, we're on equal footing. But if we had a Horde in the Lotus..." "Don't be a fool. The pup wouldn't be one of us anymore. The Horde wouldn't mean a thing to him. Look at Mokimo. He doesn't act like any Hosen we've met. The Lotus took the culture from him. His identity." Desco paced out of earshot from the conversation. He'd heard the arguments 100 times. The day had passed like a dream or a nightmare. He only remembered fragments. The Lotus congratulating him, disappearing as quickly as they'd come. Endless meetings with other members of the Horde to discuss what happened. Constant stream of refugees wanting to see his children as if they'd become sacred objects. He was glad to be alone now. He'd reached the limits of his patience, and he had sent his advisors, even Nala, away hours ago. He sighed, frustrated how the day had started out so well, only so quickly to spiral into chaos. Desco set his crystal mace and jagged-edged shield against the lacquered wood railing. There were 6 pools down in the vale, in total. One was hidden from his view, deep within the Malgushon Palace. Faintly, he made out the facade of the colossal fortress, once seat of the Mogu Empire, carved into the Vale's eastern mountains. He'd always thought it odd that the Lotus had never torn down the statues and edifices of the Vale's former rulers. Leaving them up was like giving the Mogu a reason to come back. Once he'd posed that question to Mokimo, who had replied, "The Mogu believe the Vale served them. The Lotus believe we served the Vale. We leave their statues as a reminder of hubris and vanity." At the time, Desco had been taken by the wisdom, but now the words seem hollow. An excuse for inaction. If the Celestials were so damn powerful, why didn't they scour the Mogu invaders? If the Vale was a crucible for hope and peace, why didn't the energies welling up from this land help the Golden Lotus bring an end to the war? He took a long, deep breath. Too many questions. Too many uncertainties. It's a beautiful night, isn't it? Mokimo slowly approached. "You're back," Desco said gruffly. "Just now, Z asked me to accompany him. We met many members of my order who returned from battle. There are Xiaotian entering the Vale, more than we'd expected. I'm glad you went there to see the defenders. They were so close to despair. So afraid." "I'm sorry." Desco put his frustrations aside at the thought of the Mogu gaining more victories. "But we told them about the Red Crane and your cubs. They changed. 1 minute, sorrow. The next, joy. 1 minute, despair. The next, hope." Mokimo hopped up and down on his short legs. "But the children, they wouldn't make a difference in the war. Oh, we Lotus live and die for tomorrow. The Red Crane promises us future. He wouldn't have come here if he didn't believe we would not need a new generation of protectors." He pulls out a small wooden carving from his tunic, sets it down in front of Desco. "Here, this belonged to one of my order. He was killed yesterday. I can't think of a better way to honor him than by giving it to you." Desco expected the object, an intricate carving of the Red Crane. Strange characters in a language he didn't understand spiraled around its feet. "The words say, fate is the wind, always changing. Life is the cloud, gone in an instant. The veil is the sky, everlasting. It's an old saying of our order. It reminds us that even in the worst of times there is hope. That in death our struggle goes on. I thought you would like it. You often speak of your wife, the dawn she saw ahead." "Mokimo, I want to help you, but..." He began to say these words, but stopped when he saw the look of joy on the Hosen's face. He couldn't bring himself to crush Mokimo's dream. He wasn't even sure if the caretaker would understand. The Lotus seemed to think that whether or not Desco would actually choose wasn't up for debate. It was expected of him. "No need to talk now. I'm not supposed to be here. Z told me not to speak with you until you had more time to choose. I just wanted to give you the gift. I wanted to thank you. I had best go. They'll be looking for me at the pagoda." Mokimo hurried down the platform staircase. Desco lifted the carving from the railing. "Choose," the Celestial's voice boomed in his head. "Choose what?" he wanted to shout back. The Lotus regarded his children as saviors now. If he refused them and stayed in the Vale, he knew he and his sons would be a blight on the land, a constant reminder of a shattered dream. Desco said...
I am born of thunder!
Let's see if I can make it this time. I should have just stayed over there. I didn't realize you'd respawn that quickly. Desco set the carving back down and removed Cloudhorn and Redhoof from their baskets. He hugged them tight in his arms, pictured them in the years to come, learning the ways of the Sunwalkers, assisting them as they learned about Anshe and the Earth Mother, hearing of Lisa's bravery in the face of death. "Lisa," he whispered, wishing she were at his side to help him through this. He wondered what she would have done. Suddenly, he remembered her final words before she died. "My love, whatever happens, you must protect our child." She hadn't known she was giving birth to twins. That to Desco made her last wish all the more powerful, and his choice became clear. I will protect our child." Fast forward a little bit. It was nearing dawn when Desco set out from the shrine with Redhorn and Cloudhoof snug in their baskets. The farewell with Nala had been tearful, but one she'd understood. She was a Sunwalker. She knew that in all things there was only one true path, one right decision. What could be a truer path? What could be different than keeping family together and safe? Nala's concern stemmed more from her desire to accompany Desco and look after the children. But he needed her at the shrine. He couldn't imagine anyone else keeping the place from falling apart. Yeah, I'm just going to wait over here this time. Like Lisa, Nala always knew when to be firm and when to be flexible. She was a born leader. Apart from that, Desco wanted to distance himself from his comrades as much as possible. This was his choice, his alone. He didn't know how the Golden Lotus would react, or more importantly, the Red Crane. The last thing he wanted to do was imperil the Horde's place in the Vale. He's got Garrosh to do that. I added that bit. Desco felt ashamed leaving Mokimo in the dark, but there was nothing from it. A clean break, even though it pained the Taran, was for the best. It would be easier for the Lotus to get on with their lives. The Taran made good time through the morning hours. He stayed off the main roads, working through the northern foothills. He estimated that before nightfall he would reach the gate of the August Celestials, which led out of the Vale. I want you to pay attention to that for that, by the way. I like the little reality bit. That means to go from here to here, which takes about 20 seconds, even on foot, is about a full day's journey from dawn till dusk. I like that. Around noon, he stopped at the base of a small hill and set his children on the ground. He pulled out a skin of herbs and yak milk that Nala had taught him how to brew. She'd assured him the drink would keep his sons healthy until he reached Mulgore and found a Taran female to nurse them correctly. She hadn't, however, warned him how much the younglings would hate the brew. After one sip, both of them began to cry, refusing to take any more. "It's not that bad," he grumbled. He took a gulp of the mixture. The thick, unbearably bitter drink made him cough. The cries quickly turned to laughter. "It's not wise to disrespect your elders like that, little ones." He was about to try the nursing again when the ground started to shake. 3 yak-driven carts roared over the hilltop, overloaded with Pandaren. "Mogu!" one of the passengers screamed. "At the gate!" Impossible. Desco scrambled to lift his children into their baskets. He slowly climbed the hill, shield raised at the high. At the top, a gust of wind washed over him, heavy with the smell of smoke and battle. Far ahead, he saw the gate of the August Celestials. Fires burned everywhere. An army of dark blue-skinned Wrathion swarmed over the Vale's entrance, clusters of lightly armored shapes. The Golden Lotus rushed towards the advancing Mogu. Cannon fire cracked through the Vale like thunder. An entire group of Lotus defenders vanished in a torrent of fire and blood. The rest of the Order's warriors made a hasty retreat, the Mogu following at their heels and slaughtering the stragglers. Desco cursed under his breath. His path was blocked. He turned and descended the hill, weighing his options. The Taran had heard of another gate to the far west. Oh god, please don't go to that gate, Desco. But he wasn't sure if it was open. Perhaps, though, he could find a way through? A secret mountain pass? A tunnel? The only thing he knew for certain was he couldn't return to the shrine. He wasn't a part of that place anymore, not now. Not after he made his choice. One of the refugees was waiting for him at the base of the hill. He was an old Pandaren with a long, wispy beard. "Nothing for you that way but death." "So it seems. Where are you bound?" "Mistfall. Many of us have been separated from our families. We heard that some of them might be there. I am looking for my grandchildren. Where do the winds blow you?" Desco mulled over what little he knew about Mistfall village. The small refugee camp was tucked away near the southwestern side of the Vale. From there, Desco could learn news of the other gate, and if that way was blocked too, at least the journey would buy him time away from the shrine. Perhaps even enough time for the Lotus to rout the Wrathion and retake the gate of the August Celestials. I, too, head towards Mistfall. Desco and the refugees cut through the Vale's eastern half, putting the twin mountains that rose from the center of the region between them and the Mogu front. The presence of injured and elderly Pandaren slowed the journey to a snail's pace, but Desco didn't mind. He enjoyed the time with his children, keeping to himself most of the way. His only real problem was running into members of the Lotus, but he saw no sign of the Order. Just before nightfall on the second day, that's 2 days' journey if you're paying attention, the caravan approached the Vale's southern edge and the mountain pass that would lead them to Mistfall village. The sacred pools shimmered in the faded sunlight to the south, east, and west. So close to the waters, the air seemed to hum with an odd, tangible power. Desco was admiring the distant pools when the caravan ground to a halt. "Something up ahead!" shouted one of the refugees. Desco moved through the other travelers and from his place at the rear of the caravan, fighting off fatigue. He'd barely slept during the journey. The refugees had good hearts, but they lacked military training. The Taran didn't trust them to leave his children unguarded for even a few hours in the night. A group of refugees was standing close to the lead cart, deep in discussion. In the distance, Desco spied a large campfire, effectively blocking the path. "Any idea who it is?" he asked the gathered Pandaren. "We sent someone to look," a young, ratty-clothed, dressed refugee replied. He waved a paw at the others. "Some of them think it's the Mogu, but they wouldn't make a fire in the open like that." When did you become an expert on the Mogu? Another Pandaren challenged. I've heard the Xiao Ten raiding parties are skulking all over the Vale, murdering anyone they find and disappearing like ghosts. That fire could be a trap to draw us close. An uneasy silence descended on the group. Desco's tail lashed back and forth as he tried to subdue his anxiety, telling himself the Mogu couldn't have made it this far into the Vale. The scout returned a short time later, waving the caravan forward. It's safe! The Pandaren around Desco sighed in relief, but he remained cautious. More refugees? He shouted. Apart from the Mogu, there was another enemy that concerned him. The Alliance. The Horde's rivals had established an embassy at a fortress similar to the Shrine of the Two Moons in the corner of the Vale. Desco had formed a bond with one of the Alliance leaders, and like the Taran, the young human, Anduin, didn't want conflict. He'd come to the Vale driven by promise of peace and hope. Still, the Taran didn't know how much that weight that camaraderie carried. There were just as many warmongering fanatics in the Alliance as there were in the Horde. No! It's the Golden Lotus! Eat! Sit! Rest! Mokimo shouted, his arms raised. A great fire roared behind the Hosen. Steam curled up from iron pots hung over the flames. Nearby, Weng the Merciful scooped rice from cauldrons into smooth wooden bowls, etched with carvings of the four Celestials. A Pandaren Desco had never met was unpacking cups from leather travel bags. He was monstrous, dwarfing the Taran in size, and adorned in massive pieces of armor. Apart from a brown topknot and beard, his coat was pure white. The refugees brushed past Desco and hurried to the fire, famished, exhausted. The Taran's own stomach rumbled as the wind blew the savory smell of warm food towards him, but he held his ground. The presence of the Lotus irritated him. By now, surely they'd learned of his choice. The honorable thing to do would have been to let him go on his way, and live with the ramifications of his decisions. Instead, they'd followed him. Come, Desco! Mokimo waved. You must be starving! Desco flicked his ears and snorted, annoyed by the casual tone. The way Mokimo spoke, it was as if meeting the Taran out in the middle of the Vale wasn't a surprise at all. Without responding, the Taran took a few strides away from the camp and picked out a clear spot of land. Before long, he had a fire of his own popping and crackling in the night. He pulled Cloudhoof and Redhorn from their baskets, began nursing them with their yak milk mixture. The feedings had become easier. His little boys were even taking to the drink. The children had just finished nursing when Mokimo approached. I would have come sooner, but the refugees were very hungry. Thank the Celestials, you and the cubs are all right. We've been worried. He crouched down and smiled wide for the two cubs, and the cubs giggled and batted at the long tufts of fur around the Hosen's cheeks. You remember Weng? He gestured. And this big one is Rook. Remember that name, by the way. He's never been so good at formalities, but he's loyal to a fault, a gentle friend, but also a ferocious enemy. I think you'd like him. Why not join us? There's plenty of room at... You followed me, Desco said accusingly. Well, not exactly. We anticipated where you would travel. What with the gate of the August Celestials closed off, there's only so many places in the Vale to go. I've made my choice, Mokimo. It was wrong of me not to tell you in person, and for that I'm sorry, but following me doesn't change anything. My children belong home in Mulgore. Together. This is my decision. The others at the shrine had nothing to do with it. Oh, Nala told me. I met with Z. He agreed. If it's your desire to leave, you're free to do so. Desco wasn't quite sure how to react. He'd been expecting some kind of resistance. Just the other day, you spoke of how important my sons were to the future of your order. And I was happy. And so were the Lotus. But that's not my decision, is it? That's your decision. Then why are you here? Your children have been chosen. They are tied to Chi-Ji, tied to the valley. The Lotus are sworn to protect this land at all times until the day your cubs leave. We watch over them. Why you would want to leave is beyond me. I thought being here is why you traveled so far. It was. Desco lowered his head. If Chi-Ji had asked me to march into the Mogu lines alone, I would have honored his request without a second thought. I would have done anything but this. This isn't why I came here. How do you know? It's not, Desco said, anger dawning on him. It dawned on what was happening. Mokimo was trying to convince him. I've lost too much already. I didn't come here to lose everything. My tribe was promised peace, hope. I haven't found anything I was expecting. Without realizing it, he'd lurched onto his hooves. Weng, Rook, and the refugees were staring at him in silence. Mokimo remained impassive. Oh, expectation. Dangerous thing. I expected much when I first joined the Lotus. But as the years rolled on, I began to hate this place. Everything was so strange, confusing. I just wanted to go home. One day I decided to do just that. But Z caught me while I was trying to sneak out of the Vale. He didn't scold me, though. He understood, in fact. He promised to take me to see my family. It is rare for Lotus to leave the Vale, unless it is for official business. He did me great honor. When the promised day came, we traveled to my village in the misty hills of Jade Forest. I was scared, excited. I hadn't seen my family in years. He pulls an untied small teal band from his ponytail, holds it out for Desco to see. It wasn't much to look at. It was a simple leather strap, aged and worn by time. This was my mother's. We found it in the ruins of my family's old hut. The entire tribe destroyed, everyone in it dead. The Hosen tribes often war, you see. I'm sorry, Desco said, ashamed at his outburst. Why? If I'd never been chosen, I wouldn't be alive today. We cannot predict the future. Better not to fight things beyond your control. The moment you let go of that expectation is the moment you are truly free. All we can do is serve the Vale and know that wherever the wind blows us, we have lived our lives for something greater for ourselves, for us. That is enough. Come back to the shrine, that's all I ask. Why endanger the cubs out here? Nowhere is safe in the Vale now. Nowhere. Desco took a deep breath and stared at the flames. Always moving, never stable, unpredictable, like so much of this land. The only constant was himself, his choices. He'd traveled through the coastal jungle, the northern mountains, the other regions, with his sons. He'd faced brutal enemies like the Mogu, lurking in every dark recess of the continent, and all that time he'd protected his children. The shrine wasn't an impregnable fortress. In fact, some part of Desco suspected that the Lotus only wanted him there for a chance to win him over. He would be cornered and trapped. You're right. This land is very dangerous. But there is a safe place for my sons. At my side. That is where they will stay. If you want to follow us, so be it, but our destination is Mistfall. It was still dark when Desco suddenly awoke. He propped himself up on his elbows. Angry, he'd fallen asleep. He'd planned on keeping watch throughout the night, but the journey had finally taken its toll. Nearby the yaks snorted, stamped their hooves in the ground, stricken with fear. Desco's thoughts immediately went to Redhorn and Cloudhoof. They were safe, sleeping soundly on the blankets near the fire. He carefully placed his children in their baskets and secured them to his body. At the other camp, a few of the refugees were slowly waking up, rubbing tired eyes. Mokimo, Wang, and Rook stood motionless at the far end of the fire. What is it? Mokimo held a finger to his mouth. Rook sees something. A low grumble came out of Rook's throat. Rook doesn't like those rocks. Why don't you like them? They don't stand still. Bad rocks. Stupid rocks. Desco put his back to the fire so he could adjust his sight to the darkness. Slowly details came into view. A steep slope. One side of the mountain pass they were going through. Boulders of various sides. Nothing seemed out of place, but movement flashed against the slope. Only for an instant, but Desco saw it. Wake refugees. Quietly. Hitch carts to yaks. Desco kept his eyes locked on the mountain, uncertain if it had been real or just a figment of his imagination. Then the movement came again. This time it didn't stop. Run! Mokimo said. Run! 10 giant boulders began tumbling down the slope in a landslide. No, not tumbling, Desco realized. They were running. Rook raised his arms and roared as the boulders leapt off the mountainside, the details of their dog-like bodies and their snarling faces becoming visible in the firelight. Quillen. The beast raced towards the camp, granite skin rippling in strange, unnatural waves. They were the Mogu's hounds, cruel beings of living stone like many of their masters. The yaks reared on their hind legs, only 2 of them secured to carts. Wang held them by the reins, struggling to keep them from bolting. Refugees scrambled around the camp, lighting stray pieces of wood in the fire to use as torches. His 2 babies wailed in alarm. Rather than attack, the Quillen formed a wide semicircle around the camp, creating a barrier between the refugees and the Vale to the north, but leaving the mountain pass open. The path to Mistfall is safe! Quick! Wait! Hold your ground! Desco bellowed, aware of what was happening. They are trying to drive us into the pass! He's right! Mokimo shouted, his breathing heavy. The Quillen snapped their jaws together and paced closer to the camp, but still held off their assault. We need to go north, back to the middle of the Vale. Rook make path. The giant Pandaren lifted the entire cart over his head, and his tree-trunk-sized arms quivering from the effort.
Born of thunder!
Hi, Nalik. Yes, I know you're born of thunder. I'll tell you your story later. I'll wait for someone to pull you, though.
Can you feel that chill wind blow?
There we go.
The storm is coming!
Hang on, I have to pay just a little bit of attention for this fight. Just a little bit. Now, Desco waved his hand. The refugees surged forward. Quillen closed in on all sides. Rook caught one of them in mid-leap with his mace. 4 others charged at Desco. He said a prayer to Anshi, and the cold air around him bristled with power.
Crackles with anger!
He unstrapped his shield from his forearm.
I am but the darkness before the storm.
Whatever you say, buddy. He unstrapped his shield from his forearm, hurled the slab of jagged iron at the Quillen. Growling, it spun through the air and slammed into the first beast, embedding itself into the thing's head. The momentum of the blow sent the creature crashing into its brethren, splitting the other Quillen in half. Mount. Nope. The 2 remaining beasts continued on unscathed. Mokimo vaulted towards them on his long arms, striking one of the Quillen with his feet. Desco had just enough time to turn sideways and cover his chest with his free hand, protecting Cloudhoof as the other leapt forward and crashed into him. Something ripped. Desco felt a weight lift off his shoulders. The Quillen had severed the rope. Hello. The Taran caught Cloudhoof's basket as it dropped. He whirled his mace raised high, only to see the Quillen bounding off towards the mountain pass. It was dragging the other basket by the remains of the rope. Redhorn, tucked inside, was screaming. The Taran sprinted for his crying son, his hooves tearing deep gouges into the soil. Mokimo raced up beside him and pulled on Ezco's arms long enough to bring him to a stop. I get them! Take Cloudhoof! Go! Go with other refugees! I am not leaving Redhorn! Then give me Cloudhoof! I'll take him to safety. Desco lingered, torn by indecision. The refugees were making a haphazard retreat, pursued closely by the Quillen. 2 of the beasts had wrestled Rook to the ground. He frantically battered at their heads with his paws. To where? I told you before that... A blood-curdling shriek tore out from the mountain pass. Desco shoved Mokimo aside and sprinted towards the sound. Cloudhoof's basket was held tightly under his arms. He whispered a prayer to Anshi and wove a protective shield of light around Cloudhoof to keep him safe from the battle he knew was coming. The Taran was aware of Mokimo chasing after him as he approached the dark pass, but his focus was on Redhorn's distant cries. Firelight flickered ahead, the dull orange glow ebbing and flowing against the mountainsides. A few strides into the pass, he found his boy. Redhorn. I want to remind you, Redhorn is at this point about a month old. Redhorn was dangling from the massive chiseled fist of a Xiao Ten. Apart from an intricate leather kilt, the muscular brute wore no armor. His dark blue, rocky skin shimmered in the light of the torch of his other hand. The Quillen stood a short distance in front of the Mogu, along with 2 other Xiao Tian adorned in heavy armor, wielding long-bladed spears. The Mogu didn't say anything. Desco never expected them to. They were not a race to be reasoned with. Their actions defied logic and honor. They merely watched Desco, scowling. The head Xiao Tian jerked Redhorn into the air, as if beckoning the Taran closer. He accepted the challenge. Desco! Mokimo shouted, but the Taran ignored him. The only sounds he heard were the cries of Redhorn and Cloudhoof and the distant voice of his wife pleading, whatever happens, protect our child. The armored Mogu and the Quillen lunged forward. Desco cracked his mace into the hound, shattering its head. A wave of light exploded out from the blow, cascading towards one of the Xiao Tian. The Mogu lurched aside, but not fast enough. Half his body, caught in Anshi's light, crumbled into dust. Ahead, the lead Mogu staggered back, shielding his eyes from the light. He shook his head and threw his torch on the ground. The brute drew a short blade from his kilt. Long tendrils of crimson-black energy wormed out from the weapon, squirming around the steel. Desco watched in horror as the Xiao Tian raised his sword arm to strike at Redhorn. The torchlight dimmed. Darkness enveloped the pass. A shadow moved overhead. Mokimo, leaping through the air. The last armored Mogu jumped in front of Desco, blocking his view. The Wrathion spun his spear in his hands and then threw it at the Taran. He dodged the heavy blade, but the weapon's wooden shaft broke against his wrist, sending his mace flying. The Mogu stomped forward and smashed into Desco, trying to knock him off his hooves. He held his ground and slammed his head into the brute's face. The Wrathion stumbled to the side, dazed. Desco fell to his knees, blinded as blood welled from his forehead into his eyes. He frantically groped for a weapon. Anything! His free hand found the dead Quillen. Desco gripped the beast's hind and leg and rose, throwing his weight forward and spinning. Every muscle in his body became tight as steel. The crying had stopped. "Redhorn!" he roared as he whipped the Quillen forward and let it go with a crack into the nearby Mogu. The beast flew back against the ground and crashed, motionless. Shadows flickered ahead, and Desco scrambled towards them. He felt Cladhoof's basket bouncing under his left arm, safe. The Taran clawed at the blood in his eyes until his vision came back. Mokimo was kneeling. The Mogu lay nearby, his own blade protruding from his stone head. "Where is he?" Desco asked. "Here." Mokimo's voice was a wet rasp. Blood sputtered from a deep wound in his neck. He extended his hands, holding Redhorn. The child's eyes were closed. He was covered in blood, some of it his own. Before reaching out to the little boy, Desco beseeched Anshi to mend the child's wounds. Bright yellow light enveloped the youngling, but when it faded, he didn't open his eyes. No. Desco ground his teeth in rage. He was helpless, useless. Just like when Leza had died. He tried so hard to save her, to keep her in his life. It hadn't worked. Nothing had worked. "The Mogu's blade found him," Mokimo said hoarsely. "The weapon was poisoned. Too strong for you to heal his wounds. Or mine. What hope remains?" Mokimo feebly grasped Desco's hand and brought it to Redhorn's chest. There was a heartbeat. Faint, but there. "The cub lives." "I can't help him," Desco said. "There's another way. The sacred pools. As long as there's still life in the club, the Vale's waters can..." And all of a sudden, Mokimo's voice trailed off and his eyes widened. "Cloudhoof," the Hosen said. Desco looked down to where he tucked the boy in the safety of his own arms. The basket hung in shambles around the child. Cloudhoof was draped over Desco's arms, his body broken and crushed. The Taran dropped to his knees, loosened his grip, and let the youngling fall into his lap. He froze, his hands cradling the little boy as the realization hit him like a blade through his heart, because all his focus had been on Redhorn. He hadn't even noticed when Cloudhoof died. "This way!" Mokimo shouted. Somehow the Hosen still had the energy to move despite his injuries. He frantically waved the Mogu torch through the air, beckoning Desco forward. The Taran followed, carefully holding Redhorn in one arm and Cloudhoof's body in the other. Behind the Hosen, a large pool glowed softly in the night. Intricate wooden archways encircled it, rising from flat stones around it. Desco fought to keep up with Mokimo. For the 100th time since they ran, his mind raced through the battle. He recalled the series of events, trying to pinpoint exactly when Cloudhoof died. When was it? When the Mogu crashed into him? Or had he done it himself? Had he crushed his own boy? The Taran fell to the ground, feeling sick to his stomach. "By Anshi, it was me. I know it was me." "Get up!" Mokimo struck Desco across the head with the bottom of the torch. The blow snapped the Taran out of his daze. "He's gone! How, you will never know! All that matters now is Redhorn." Desco struggled to his hooves and followed Mokimo to the edge of the pool. "The Mogu once used these waters for evil, but good can come from them too. Each of these pools represents different emotion, courage, peace. Here. This is the pool of hope." What do I do?" the Taran asked. "Give me Redhorn." Desco handed his boy over without hesitation. There was nothing he could do now, nothing. All the Tauren could do was watch as Mokimo carefully lowered Redhorn into the water up to the child's neck. He was suddenly taken by the scene, by how Mokimo held the son as if he was his own, by how much the Hosen had risked to give Redhorn a chance, however dim it was. Looking back in the battle, it was clear what had happened. Mokimo had lunged forward to put himself between the Mogu's blade and the child. The blade still cut Redhorn through Mokimo's own chest. "Come." Mokimo struggled to wave his hand. He was fading fast. "Leave. Cloudhoof at edge." Hesitantly, Desco set Cloudhoof's body by the pool and splashed into the water. "Take handful. Poor Redhorn." Desco obeyed, his heart pounding. He let the water fall over his son's head. Mokimo did the same. Glowing beads trickled down Redhorn's nose, but didn't seem to have any effect on the child. "Nothing's happening." "Let the veil do its work," the Hosen said, his breathing quickly going. "You can't control this. You can only have hope. Believe like Lisa did. When she faced death, did she despair?" No. Desco clenched his eyes shut. She'd always believed. She'd always been so strong. Lisa deserved to be here, not him. A wave of heat flooded over Desco, and he opened his eyes. A translucent image of Chi-Ji walked on the water as if it was solid ground. Golden light rippled outwards from where his talons touched the pool. With each step, a faint chime like a tiny bell rang. The Celestial snapped his wings open, and a sudden rush of air blew a shower of water across the Tauren and the Hosen. Mokimo righted himself, patted his wound. It had sealed shut. Chi-Ji leaned forward, piercing through the water with his beak and touching Redhorn's chest. Desco watched and waited. The moment seemed to go on forever, but then when he'd just begun to fear the worst, the child squirmed. Desco stared in disbelief. Redhorn's eyes opened and darted around until he saw his father, and then he clawed up towards Desco, crying. "Oh, thank you," Desco said, hugging his child close. Then he remembered Cloudhoof and turned back to the edge of the pool. "My little boy, Red Crane, is there a way to—" But his words trailed off as he turned to face Chi-Ji, because the Red Crane was gone. Because the Red Crane's a dick. Sorry. Quillen, dead. Refugees with Weng. Rook thumped a giant paw against his chest. He'd arrived at the pool shortly after Chi-Ji's appearance. When the monstrous Pandaren had learned what happened to Cloudhoof, he sat and sobbed for some time. Desco never expected the death to impact Rook. He never even met the children. But it did. Somehow the Lotus cared for them. He wished he understood why. All he knew was the Order's concern was genuine. In some way, the younglings were like family to them. Good. Best we return to Shrine now. I know you want to leave, but we have to make preparations, whatever it takes. I'll find a passage for you and Redhorn to go home. Home. Desco thought about the tribe's small enclave on the sunny plains of Mulgore. When he and Lisa had left, he'd wondered if they'd ever see it again. He believed they would, but his wife hadn't. She'd always spoken as of her visions of the distant land as if that was home. A home they'd always belonged to, but hadn't known yet. He finally understood what she'd meant. He'd seen the Veil's power and its potential not just for him, but the lives of so many people across this world. I'm not leaving. Truly? There's something else. He looked down at Redhorn in his arms. Will you still... He could not continue his sentence. He instead held the child out to Mokimo. Oh, this isn't necessary. You're thinking Chi-Ji wants something in exchange for what he did, but you're mistaken. Gift given freely. Oh, take him, Desco pleaded. This is why we came. This is why we were here. By Anshi, I was a fool not to realize it sooner. They had come so far to seek the Veil, to see it with their own eyes, to dwell with it. But to be a part of it, to be one with it, was so much more. What? And then page 10 doesn't load. There we go. Okay. Is there, something we need to do? To make it official, I mean. Yes, rituals, yes. Child, Z, present, Chi-Ji, all sorts of happen. I understand. Go now, then. It doesn't need to be now. We can return to Shrine first. Go. Before I change my mind. Once rituals are over, you can see him. He'll be busy training in the years to come, but he'll be here in the Vale. One of the Golden Lotus. And your son. Always that, but now something else, too. Mokimo glanced at the basket with Cloudhoof inside. The Taran had mended the remains of the basket, tying it around his neck with a rope. And him? I will light a pyre and set it at dawn so that Anshi can watch my boys passing. I'd prefer to do that alone. Mokimo nodded slowly, and without another word, he motioned for Rook. Just as they set off to leave, Desco called after them, remembering something. Wait, Taran said. Wait, wrong voice. Wait, the Taran said. He felt for the lock of Lisa's hair on his head and quickly unbraided it. He wove it into Redhorn's mane and lead it down and touched the child's forehead with his snout. After that, Rook and Mokimo departed. Desco spent the next hour gathering wood for the pyre, thinking about the days ahead. He would resume his duties at the shrine, and he did not look forward to telling Nala and the others what happened. What would he say? Would they forgive him for the loss of his boy? Would he forgive himself? No. But they deserved the truth. All of this had been his choice. A terrible, mistaken, fearful choice. Desco sat down with a rest before beginning the funeral. We are home, Desco said aloud. He held Cloudhoof in his lap and stroked the child's mane. He turned to face east, knowing it was only a few more minutes before the Yina appeared. Forgive me for the lengthitude. Is that a word? But I really felt it important that you hear all of that story. First of all, that really helps emphasize why I feel so much for Desco as a character. But also why every time I see him, I just kind of cringe a little bit. If you paid attention, one of the things this story made pretty clear is despite Desco's own reaffirmations, we don't actually know who killed his son. It could have been the Mogu that was attacking him. It could have just as easily been he himself. It's so easy to picture, too, when you picture the scene. The baby's like this big. And right there. And he's fighting a battle against a Mogu. The fact that he didn't even notice says a lot, too. So I wish Desco was here. It occurred to me why he isn't. But Desco was standing right here without either of his children present. And that's why. And this is when I wanted to talk about it. Yeah, I'm
born of thunder.
Look, I like your voice actor, but seriously. And yeah, unfortunately, because of what happened to the Vale, we really have no idea what happened to his other son. The Golden Lotus survived the incident of the Vale, but not particularly well. We have no idea how many of them survived. We have no idea if his son survived. I guess we'll find out in the future. In the interim, forgive me for the segue, it's what, half an hour? Why don't we continue the Throne of Thunder plot, shall we? I'll talk about Nalik really quick. I said I would. Now's a good time. Nalik was a particularly powerful cloud serpent that had been refused to be tamed by the Mogu. The Mogu... Yeah, try telling that to him, though, okay? The Mogu regularly bound cloud serpents, as they did all other creatures, because all creatures exist to serve the Mogu. I mean, that's logical, right? But there was one cloud serpent that refused to bow, and Lei Shen actually took a liking to that cloud serpent. So after that cloud serpent fought back and basically killed most of his keepers, he brought it into the depths of the actual palace. And as we'll see later this evening, deep within the palace is the actual flesh crafting stations. So he twisted and tore Nalik apart and basically bore him of thunder. Infused his own thundery essence into Nalik from Lei Shen himself. This is probably a good enough time to talk about the difference between the anima and the vita. I've kind of already talked about it briefly, and really there's not a huge amount to discuss. It's basically the physical and the energy. The physical and the metaphysical, right? The anima is literally the goopy, ready, bloody stuff. We'll see it in person later. That actually keeps things functioning. As we see from Ra, there is a strong theory going out there that all Keeper creations, like all those Keeper we saw up at Oldham, actually have anima underneath their stone skin, and that's what gives them their bodily forms. Vita, or Vita, but I prefer Vita, by contrast, is the energy that gives them the power in order to function. It usually takes the form of pure energy, but it can also come out as a specific form of energy if you prefer to put it out into a specific form, like, for example, lightning or thunder or electricity or whatever you want to call it. So when Lei Shen took Ra and consumed his power and the power of the Titan, he gained the knowledge of anima and the power of Vita. That's really important. I'll talk about this again later, but you see all this lightning crashing around here? This is not a storm. This is not the weather putting lightning down to the island. This is the island shoving the lightning energy up into the skies. This is all being powered. All of this, all of the island is being powered by Lei Shen personally. All of it is coming personally from him. I'll showcase that better later on, but just think about that. Just for fun? I have no idea, to hell with. I really don't. I mean, I recommend most players who are playing this for the first time play a hunter, as much as there are problems with that. But if you're playing for the second time, it depends on what you want to do, you know? There's so many... There are, despite some people's, derogatory comments, there are several different playstyles in WoW. At the very base, there's MDPS, RDPS, healer, and tank, if you want to really break it down to the basic 4. So, I don't know.
The Eternal Sun guides us all.
The time has come. Our forces are well enough entrenched here that we can risk pressing forward into the Thunder King's lair. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he'll be opening that gate anytime soon. I suppose we'll make a gate of our own then. Let me know when you're ready.
Silvermoon will rise again. All will know the power and glory of the Sindori.
I like how the queue waited for him to finish talking before doing that. Okay. That's Lei Shen.
The unworthy have not yet learned of my power.
Correct, Deutsch.
War God Al-Chukla, add my strength to my...
And that is what Vita can do.
Make a demonstration of these invaders, such that all nations tremble before me.
All will fall before us.
Zambu, secure the inner courtyard. None should look upon my works and live. As my Emperor wills.
Welcome back, Samurai. God, that palace is huge! Oh, hey, what's up?
There's chaos out there. The siege has begun, but our heavy explosives never made it to the wall. I will cover the flanks. Gather up our explosives and get them to the wall. Hurry!
Working. By the way, that's also Vita. I mention this because I have a huge fondness for the visual and audio aesthetic of lightning. In fact, it's one of the reasons I tend to prefer air elementals in some games that do that. But it is kind of worth noting that you're thinking of Lei Shi. I don't blame you for being confused, okay? No, Hueco Mundo was ridiculous. But it is worth noting, despite all this talk of thunder and lightning, all this isn't actually thunder or lightning any more than the water in the Valley of the Four Winds is water. Remember how we were talking, and we had this lengthy discussion, I know you were there for this, Kay, about liquid energy, and that's exactly what that water was, the liquid life, the Mako, if you will, that was in the valley. This is a more direct form of that exact same energy. It is literally the same energy. It's the same Titan-born energy. It is Vita. Again, the terminology making sense since, as pointed out by Necro, Vita is Latin for life. Or is it Vitae? I'm not actually sure, but I can't pronounce Latin because of course I can. Well, she's such a woman samurai, but so strong. No, napalm does not count. Oh, you totally killed me. Or maybe not. Oh, whatever.
Cut
Die.
them down. Show them our might.
That's weird. Although I would accept the Red Bull joke if you wanted to go that way with it. Think of it however you must, Kay. As long as you think of it. That's the important part.
Press forward. We shape our own destiny today.
I'm right. Screw Garrosh, screw the Alliance, screw everyone. But don't literally screw Garrosh. Even Deutsch wouldn't tap that.
Break them!
We must seize every opportunity.
We are the Horde.
Charges are
we
placed.
do not back
Hero,
down.
you may have the honor.
Thank you.
Destroy them, my brothers!
Yeah, it works for an entrance for me.
Spectacular. Move up. Press onward. Show them no quarter.
This way! The Zandalari are falling back!
Hey, I'm pretty sure it's true, Brakeman. Deutsch, feel free to contradict me on this if you prefer. There's actually a term for that, Deutsch, and I can never remember what it's called, but it's basically the idea that magic follows its own rules. Yeah, appropriate, isn't it, Necro? If we were to take that to its logical conclusion, which I don't think this is true, that might mean that certain creatures in this setting don't actually have a soul. Hello, Shirko. This is actually a pretty hard fight if you're not properly geared or ready for it. We're probably going to kill him.
Step forward! Witness the gift of
What did they do to that troll?
I was chosen! My blood burns with his power!
Top 3 favorite patches? The Ice Crown patch, this patch. I gotta think. I'm really leaning towards the Keldanus one for the last one, though. Alright, that's good enough. Die.
But you will be punished! Your life a lesson in futility! Zandalari!
In case you didn't quite catch
Bar
that.
the gates! The Zandalari have failed to hold the wall.
Rangers, to me. We have broken their lines.
My Lord Regent, you should not be so close to the front lines.
You're kidding,
Nonsense. This is where I belong.
right? And that's probably why Lorthamar would make a good war chief.
Champion. Again, you are at the forefront of a Horde triumph. And once more, I am in your debt. Regroup behind the wards, everyone. They will counterattack, but we will be ready.
Hey, Nothrazim. Also, Paladin for life. So, Lorthamar is a fairly skilled leader. He's good at being charismatic, he's good at being, passionate, and he's fairly intelligent. He's also very driven, and he cares a lot about his people, which aren't just the Blood Elves, by the way. He does care about the Horde as a whole, not Garrosh's Horde. That being said, he is also a good wartime leader, but some people argue that this is one of the reasons why Lorthamar would not be a good war chief. So, take your pick on that. I'll let you decide.
The Blood Elves will endure any hardship, overcome any obstacle, and emerge stronger than before.
Now, I believe there's no reason to do the Alliance quests in here. Forgive me. I'm going to go ahead and check this. But I'm pretty sure the Alliance quests are equal at this point on. Like, same stuff, basically. So there's no reason to double up on these. I'm going to double check. It's been a while since I've done the Alliance side of these.
The Alliance needs heroes like you more than ever.
Pretty sure this is the same thing. We'll find out in a minute. Yeah, same cutscene. Very
The siege is underway, but our heavy explosives never made it to the wall.
Yeah, okay. So, I was right.
Gather up the explosives and get them to the wall while I rally the reinforcements.
We'll just bail on that. Bye. So, why don't we go ahead and pause now to talk a little bit about the Zandalari. We learn a little bit about the Zandalari as we go through here, and we learn just how incredibly damn deadly they are. I kind of already talked about the Zandalari in detail. I really don't feel like I actually have too much to add to that, other than the fact that a few, and I know I've mentioned this before, but it bears repeating, even a very relatively small group of Zandalari, who I remind you are weakened, and basically at the weakest they've ever been, nevertheless were a huge threat and were able to accomplish a huge amount. Despite the complete disdain the Mogu show them, the Zandalari accomplished quite a bit here, and they are arguably the more threatening force on this island, even though they are... So the way the actual raid is designed, the first chunk of the raid is basically all Zandalari, and then the rest of it is a few other things, mostly Mogu related. But in my personal opinion, from a military perspective, from a magical perspective, and from a threat perspective, the Zandalari were the greater threat. The only thing that actually made the Mogu threatening was Lei Shen himself. But we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the actual throne. But I pulled up something I want to share with you, which is this thing right here. As you're going through here, you find some Zandalari journals. Yes, I know you're tired of me hearing me read stuff, but don't worry, these are way shorter than the short story, okay? I can still see it. I remember how I felt when I laid my eyes on it, blinking to wake up, telling myself I was already awake. The great palace listing to one side like a drunk hunched up against a wall, still gleaming in gold. Was Rastakhan still inside? King of a crooked throne. The morning sun glimmered off the seawater that crept into the forum. Pretty, but for the jagged fissure tearing up at the tile. We thought only that was the worst of it, but the cataclysm had only just begun. Water was up a foot by the next evening. A week later, high tide came into the market. Still the sun shone, like the world was saying it was sorry. Sorry to take you home. Sorry to give it to the sea. Word don't get off that easy. These are all journals from Zandalari, if this is not obvious. That was a journal of him talking about the fall of Zandalar proper, of the Great Island, which is now beneath the ocean. I take back everything I said about this place. Different journal. When Zhu landed us on the northern shores of the mainland, I thought this was the promised land, salvation of the Zandalari. The fishing villages fell easily. Nobody put up a battle till the Dark Ones came along, the Shadowpan. They don't stand up and fight. They come at us from the trees. Sometimes I swear they walk through walls. Never behind us. Always coming out of the corner of our eyes, never fighting in the front. Once we had that old Mogu king's corpse, we were out of there. Mogu, Mogu, Mogu. I could see why Zul wanted them as our allies. Saw the glory of the ancient empire firsthand when we fought our way to the Valley of the Emperors. But that was weeks ago. Now I'm slogging to a swamp, digging up statues in the rain. The Mogu are down on us, I see it. At least the ones that we have eyes. Some of them are just stones. Stones for hearts, stones for brains. They're using us. But Zul says they keep their word once they're in power again. And Zul, well, he just seems to know things. Hi, Logical Excess, and yes, I have a second YouTube channel. It doesn't have a lot on it yet, but it will in the future, trust me. So here's the next one. Oh, hang on. I actually want to do a different one next. That would be this one. I never liked the soothsayers. Especially the dark ones, or those sunken eyes, telling me things I don't want to hear, but I know are gonna come true. And Zul, he was the worst of them. Worst because he always saw the worst things. Worst because there's nothing you can do about it. When King Rostakhan ordered me to join Rul's feet, I thought I'd done something to offend the council. I thought he was sacrificing me and the others just to get Zul off his back and away from Zandalari. I cursed my luck. Varian, the old prophet around the oceans, meeting with the disgusting Sand Fury, the crazed Jakari. That was weeks ago, before I heard what happened to the capital. Now I see why the spirits sent me here. We Zandalari gotta find a new home. And Zul was the only one looking. Zul and his cursed eyes. Can you see a future for us, Dark Prophet? What now, y'all troll? What now? So that kind of tells a little bit of a story that I've actually already shared with you, but it's cool to read it nonetheless. Let's hear a little bit about Zandalari culture, shall we? I tell them the others, the Loa don't speak to me, but I see them all over. I hear them talk about me, hear them talk that tell me to give up. They hunger for flesh, the Loa. They hunger for hate. They give up on me. I learn fast, I better take what I want, 'cause no spirit's gonna give me nothing. I tell the others I want to put in the ring. They tell me I'm crazy. I want to get killed. Tell me to take the rock test. Lift them stones over me head. Show me back is strong. Get a job plowing, living on the dirt. The elders don't see the real me. But I did see the spirits. All around their heads. Even the ones they don't see. Them spirits see right through me. They hate me. I gotta prove them wrong. I get in the ring. Heavy hammers in each hand. They feel good. Feel better when I smash hands. Feel best slick with blood. When a troll's got nothing to lose, they see it. I don't care how big they are. They don't show the fear, but the spirits see. You can't hide fear from the spirits. I ain't supposed to draw blood, but I go for the head. That's where the hate feels best. Spirits abandon them others once I'm done with them. And now they's afraid of me. Better that way. I see you, spirits. I know you best. That's kind of Zandalari mindset in a nutshell, by the way. Being willing to kill other people, even when you're not supposed to, in a ritualistic arena, for no other reason than to try and subjugate Loa. Not make a pact with them. Not coordinate with them. Subjugate, because that's pretty much the Zandalari way in a nutshell. Here's another good one about that. A dire horn. Little Talak thinks he's got the rocks to claim a dire horn. I tried convincing him a raptor would be fine. A beast collar with a good sturdy raptor, that's a good life. Commands a lot of respect. Raptors take naturally to...
am born of thunder!
Raptors take naturally to the spirits. I think it's their brains, they're smart. You can tell by the way they watch you. But no, Talak wants a dire horn. Carved the sigils into his arm with one of his ceremonial horns, spoke to the great bestial Loa we had on the ship with us, drank the wild draught, wore the twin-tusk mask, roared with the inner voice. Spirits are with this one, they like strength, yeah, but sometimes they flock towards courage. So I helped Talak, frail as he is. I spoke to me spirits. Me old Loa Grimarth entered me chest as a child, who guided me hand when I bent the neck of me own dire horn. I drink deep from the well of blood. I saw the furies in the air. I whispered Talak's name. He on the Isle of Giants now. Little Talak not so little anymore. He'll come back a hero, or he won't come back at all. Spirits be with him. Just a little window into Zandalari culture there. Why don't we press the assault against the Thunder Palace, shall we?
Silvermoon will rise with the help of the Shadow Pan and this beast you recovered. I believe we can infiltrate and disable the Thunder King's armory.
Oh yeah, we kind of skipped over a daily involving you taming that thing over there.
Elsia is waiting for you, champion.
This creature you have recovered is immune to the lightning strikes that protect the island.
Yep.
Do you think you can ride it?
Of course I can. I can fly anything. But seriously, these are specific... So these were normal pterodon-type creatures that were flesh-crafted by the Mogu, by Lei Shen, in order to be immune to lightning so they could serve as his personal war steed. And they were gifted to the Zandalari.
Very good. Once you take to the skies, the Zandalari will try to stop you. Be ready to dogfight in the air. Jump from mount to mount if you have to.
Yep.
A Shadow Pan contact will be waiting to meet you behind the mines. Good luck.
About to God of War this. More or less literally. Hey, third. Everyone in chat say hello to third. Yeah, we are, Deutsch. More or less literally. This quest sucked on certain classes. Seriously. For the same reason the last one did, basically. Fools. I show you how it's done. Ooh, that was a good shot. Did you think you could just fly overhead unnoticed? Well, you got where you're going. Too bad you're not gonna live long enough to see it. To prepare to die, intruder. If you insist, hope you're prepared. Taoshi. Taoshi. Oh, there you are. Remember her? We met her in the town long steps.
You sure know how to arrive in style.
So, guys, I was telling Third, he's like, wait a minute, this isn't Overwatch. And I said, nope, I'm here to run Lorerun. There's no lore in Overwatch. Joking, obviously. His response was, good riddance. No one wants lore in games anyways.
Ready for some action? Keep your eyes keen, adventurer. Let's get down to business.
Eh. Nobody needs no stinking law. We don't need no law either. Yeah, there's actually people chatting in guild right now, sorta. We don't have a particularly active guild at the moment.
The
But there are
shadow
people on
hands
every now and
strike
again.
from the shadows, so that our enemies fear the dark.
Okay. I strike from their face, so that their enemies fear their faces. It works pretty well for me.
The Mogu forge weapons of both blood and steel. Their blades feast on death.
Yeah, they're pretty messed up. You want me to go over here, don't you?
The Mogu forge weapons of both blood and steel. Their blades feast on death.
Why would you think of that horrible person, okay?
The shadow pans strike from the shadows, so that our enemies fear. Step lightly. We are almost to the gate.
Hey, what's
There,
up, Slave
the
Master?
Slave Master. Hold his attention while I undo the lock.
Okay, I'll hold his attention.
What is this?
Keep him busy. I am almost finished.
Punished.
I have it! The gates are undone!
Damn, that was quick. Good job.
Rangers, secure the forge. Smash the gate so it cannot be closed.
Nice strategy. It's not like we're here to conquer in this one case.
Incredible work. I knew the Shadowpan would make excellent allies.
We share a common enemy, Regent Lord. Nothing more.
Regardless, we have delivered a terrible blow to the Thunder King today. Horde metalsmiths can begin studying Mogu fabrication techniques immediately.
With all respect, these abominable tools should be destroyed.
In good time, my Pandaren friend. In good time.
I have to admit, that made me kind of go, But, in fairness, he does have a point. After all, he is not just trying to beat the Thunder King. He's trying to beat Garrosh. You know, that whole trying to take over from within thing. Well, Taran Zhu's here. Hey, Taran Zhu.
As Regent Lord of Quel'Thalas, I will defend my people against any who would do us harm.
Are you here to fight?
Zandalari warships plunder the seas around this island. They ferry in soldiers and war beasts from Zandalar to bolster Lei Shen's army. If we can capture the palace shipyard, the Thunder King's supply line will be cut off, and your foothold will be secure.
Stay light on your feet.
Champion, we were just talking about you.
It does not matter. Toshi's proposal is too dangerous.
The sheer audacity of the plan is exactly what intrigues me. If we breach the shipyard, we will deprive the Mogu of further Zandalari reinforcements.
Champion, hear me out. We strike the shipyard at night, using this magnificent beast you have tamed. Once inside, we sabotage the Zandalari ship. In the chaos, we will slip into the courtyard and open the gates from within.
Surely you agree that decisive action wins wars, Lord Zhu?
Very well, Toshi. If our champion here agrees, the mission may proceed.
Let's do it.
Thank
Wait,
you, Lord Zhu.
that
I
is
will
Nova.
not let you down.
I see, ever since you guys said she sounded familiar, I've been pondering
with
why
me
she
when
sounds
you are
familiar
ready.
to me, because I don't watch anime like you guys do.
Good to see you. The Shadow Pan will be here if you
So
need
I'm like,
us.
who the heck is she? Yeah, it's Nova's voice. That's what's been getting at the back of my mind. Hey, Toshi.
I count 6. No, 7 guards on patrol in the sky.
Good eye.
One of them flies higher than the others. He loops far out over the water. Alone. He is overextending. That is our in. We will neutralize him and take his route. Let's go.
I admittedly do lump the two into the same category. I will admit that. But not as a derogatory thing.
Just a little closer.
Yeah. Yeah, hit him with a sleeping
the
dart.
Zandalari are more cautious than I thought. Look down there, swarming with patrols. And their shamans have laid out a network of sentry totems. One of these smoke bombs will blind a sentry totem. Clear a path from the ship to the gate at the upper level. We will need to cross on foot. We cannot circle up here for long. Do what you can.
This
while
is
I
a
plan
great
our
quest,
next
by the way.
move.
I'll explain why in a moment. Ugh. Damn it, I'm already falling behind.
Awaken, Hussein. The docks are your responsibility. See that none pass His Majesty's gates. The Thunder King
That should do it.
wills it. It shall be done.
So you basically have one shot to do this. You have to pick your route and blind the things that are in the path of that route accordingly. If you fail, well, you'll basically only get 2 circles. The one circle I just did, the one I'm doing now, and that's it. Remember, there's a cooldown on this ability, too. Although, she's circling longer than I remember. She should have already been done. Oh, that's why. I'm sorry. They did change that. I forgot about that. We'll do that one.
Our time is up. We need to get aboard that ship.
There we go.
We
Also,
should sabotage
that's
the siege
a bug.
weapons toward the bow. Then we will go below decks and find the captain.
The captain boss of this place was really rough solo on a lot of my characters.
Easy now. Get in close and incapacitate them.
Stealth mission. Oh, right, sorry. Sorry, Taushi. I forgot you wanted me to do these ones first. It is possible to screw this up. And these guys are elites, and they hurt. So you can still kill them if you screw up. It's just pretty messed up.
There will be a very unpleasant surprise waiting for the next troll who disturbs these. Let's keep moving.
Yeah, no kidding, Bragwin. I think you've been cursing me with bug-itis, Bragwin. And please don't make the joke I know just went through your mind about that. Did I miss one? Oh, nope, there he is. Down we go. It's okay, they're all drunk. Something terrifying, Deutsch. Come on, Taushi.
Stowaways.
Look at this giant platter of ribs and fish and a huge keg of booze. That's how you can tell he's the cap. Also because he's dead.
Never get out of here alive.
Not as quiet as I would prefer, but it works.
Okay, so yeah, that is a bug. That really should not be... Basically, that smoke graphic looks like it's about 10 times larger than it should be. So it's going to actually be kind of hard to see where I'm going here. It should be much, much smaller.
The courtyard gate is directly up that hill. Remember to stay clear of those sentry totems.
Yeah. Pretty sure I got a path correctly. We'll find out. It's really hard to see where I'm going. But I'm pretty sure I did it right. I always do the same basic path. Yep, there we go. Ah, crap, I think I missed the ramp because I can't see where I'm going. I really did. I missed the ramp. That's great. Bragwin, you're terrifying me. I just want you to know that.
Sounds like they found our little present.
Yeah, in case you didn't hear the massive explosion in the distance there. That was the ship exploding. I'd show you it, but, There we go. Perfecto. Oh god, the smoke. The smoke! Okay, we're safe. Let's just sneak by this guy, shall we?
Enough hiding, little ones. There is no escape now. The only
Okay.
Through you, is it? I think we can manage that. Would you prefer we go through the belly or the ribcage? Well fought. Now, the gates, before the Thunder King's entire army comes down on us.
Bragon, you're scaring me. So if I'm not mistaken, this is either the best scenario or the absolute
Rangers,
best scenario.
shatter the hinges. Wedge the doors open.
Actually, the next one might be the amazing scenario.
Your plan worked. The two of you accomplished the work of an army.
Damn
The
right we
fighting
did.
skills of my companion are quickly becoming legendary among the Shadowpan.
The Regent Lord will want a full report. Let's get you back to camp. You have earned a rest.
My bad. It's the next... So the next scenario is awesome. I don't want to hype it up too much, but it's awesome! So, you'll just have to see it for yourself in about a minute when I start it up, because, hey, screw time gating.
Victory lies ahead. Guides us all.
Excellent work. With that blasted warship out of commission, the bombardments on the coast will cease. Taran Zhu has informed me the Shadowpan will keep vigil over the Stormsteel Landing, freeing up Sunreaver resources to press the siege elsewhere. Taushi will be there. I'm sure she'll be glad to work with you again. We are all grateful for your contributions, Ilona. Thank you.
Silvermoon will rise again.
Cool,
All will know
Nicholas.
the power and glory of the Sindori.
Long ago, Lei Shen found a rare clutch of storm dragon eggs. One of them, Nalak, was particularly brutal, and Lei Shen took it for its own. The Thunder King's servant, Shan Bu, works to resurrect Nalak. Yeah, technically Nalak isn't actually active. At this point we're at lore-wise, because Nalak is actually dead and about to be resurrected. So we're about to go stop him from resurrecting Nalak. Spoiler alert, he fails because we kill Nalak, but yeah.
Speak to me when you are ready to launch the assault.
God, my neck hurts.
Good, you are here. Our people will persevere. Regent Lord, everyone is in position and the Shadowpan are inside, but
Yes?
the Alliance is waiting for us just across the courtyard.
This is interesting.
Ah, so the Grand Lady of the Kirin Tor wants a fight, does she? Rangers, advance! I will deal with Proudmoore.
Pay attention, by the way.
Taran Zhu, it does not matter how many you array against the Thunder King. Soon all will kneel before him.
You will kneel when you beg for my mercy, monster.
One problem at a time, people. Focus on the Zandalari.
Notice how both Jaina and Lorthamar flat out tell both sides, do not attack the other side, we are here for the Mogu. And, in case you feel like you want to, you literally cannot attack the Alliance. Nice touch. Some people think that when I refer to the best speech in this game, I'm referring to the speech that's about to be given, other than the one Lorthamar gave earlier that I mentioned. This is a pretty good speech, too. Definitely one of the best.
Those statues wield the power of the First Emperor. Destroy them!
Okay. If I must.
Regent Lord, more Zandalari approach from the mines!
Damn their hides! Rangers, hold this position!
Taushi, get those doors open! Champion, with me! We must press forward while you're calm. Shanbu! Again you try to create a god! When will you learn?
Who needs a god? We have the Thunder King.
Yes,
Trolls,
Zed.
make yourselves useful. I am almost finished here.
Yeah, this scenario...
Zandalari reinforcements are coming! Yalia, we need more healing. Toshi, cover the rear.
This is basically identical for Horde or Alliance. There's literally about 4 lines that are different. Otherwise, it's the same instance. So yeah, this is definitely in my head another moment where the Alliance and Horde PCs team up.
Arise, Nalek. Protect our beloved Emperor.
Face me, Shanbu! Or is the court of the Thunder King a den of cowards?
The Emperor will be most pleased when I present him with your head, Shadowpan. I am born of thunder!
Down you go.
I tire of your insolence! I will choke the life from you, impudent slave!
Finish him!
No! My Emperor! My Emperor! I have failed you!
No power of this world can trample the pure of spirit.
This is pretty much the speech, by the way.
We shall never yield.
Notice the bloodstains as he's walking.
Lord Zhu, the Alliance, the Horde, all chaos is about to erupt out here.
Oh, my children. Toshi, hand me my weapon.
My lord, you are gravely wounded.
My weapon! Champion, with me. I want you to see this.
By the way, if he sounds a little bit irritated, keep in mind he's having a more or less mortal wound at the moment. And he just learned that the Alliance and the Horde are attacking each other again. Moments after being allied. Just pay attention. I'm going to shut up for this scene.
Hand over the Archmage, and I may yet allow you to walk out of here, Lorthamar.
Proudmoore! You will release my people from the Violet Hold, or I will cut you down myself!
Your people are legitimate prisoners of war. They orchestrated an attack on Darnassus, from my city!
The Sunreavers knew nothing of Garrosh's raid on Darnassus.
Enough! There will be no more bloodshed today. I see now why your Alliance and your Horde cannot stop fighting. Every reprisal is itself an act of aggression, and every act of aggression triggers immediate reprisal.
They
I must protect my sovereign
every
people.
attempt at peace.
Silence! You must break the cycle! It ends today. Here, the cycle ends when you, Regent Lord, and you, Lady Proudmoore, turn from one another and walk away.
Rangers, lower your weapons.
My lord!
Do it!
Very well. We will stand down.
They killed my husband.
This won't bring him back. But know this, Blood Elf. There can be no peace while Hellscream is Warchief of the Horde.
That is precisely why I wish to conserve our strength today. Lady?
Lord.
Gather the wounded. Withdraw to the harbor.
Everyone, regroup back at the camp. Our work here is done.
Lord Zhu!
Champion, this ceasefire may not last, but remember what you have seen today.
We must get you back to the monastery.
Shanpu's monstrosity remains at the foot of the palace. It must be stopped before it wreaks havoc across Pandaria.
Yalia, take Lord Zhu to safety. Hero, it will be up to you to defeat the Storm Lord Nalak. You will have to marshal a small army.
No, it's okay. We already killed him.
But after what I have seen today,
In the future.
I have faith in you. It has been a great honor to fight by your side. Thank you.
Yeah, who knew, Zed? Apparently the Alliance and the Horde could fight together against a common enemy. It's news to me. So that's a great speech. A couple things to note. As chat pointed out, Lorthamar was the first to yield, which I think says a lot about his mentality at this point. It is worth noting he has less investment and anger involved than Jaina and Varisa do. So, credit, I'll go ahead and acknowledge that. Also, there's one other point that's really important that you didn't hear. Right here in the chat, I know you can't quite read this, but Lorthamar says, the Sunreavers knew nothing of Garrosh's raid on Darnassus. And then Aethys shifts uncomfortably. Yes, sorry, Aethys did know about that. And absolutely, both PCs should have been there. Just like at the end of the 5.1 chain. That was basically the end of the 5.2 chain. It's time to move on to something slightly different. More quests!
As Regent Lord of Quel'The Alas, I will defend my people against any who would do us harm.
Yep, there we go. Wait, is that the... Yeah, that's the right one. So with that, we have unlocked all the dailies, and we are ready to assault the Throne of Thunder itself. Unfortunately, we are not actually ready to assault the Throne of Thunder itself. First! We have to go kill Nalak. Oh wait, we already did that. Oh, this time travel. No, we actually do have to show something else first. We have done Wrathion's bidding. I wonder what he has to say about the Throne of Thunder.
Thunder King. What a magnificent individual. Could you imagine what his empire would be like today if it had not been overthrown and hidden by the Pandaren?
I couldn't imagine a cooler tyrant. He enslaved this entire continent.
Benevolence is a luxury for the strong, young prince. No great empire was ever built with kindness.
I'm not so sure about that. But I can tell you no great empire has ever stood the test of time by crushing its own citizens. Remember, the Mogu were overthrown. That should be the lesson of the Thunder King. It's your move, by the way.
I worry you may be too soft to wear your kingdom's crown, Prince Anduin. You would do well to learn some of your father's hardness.
Are you lecturing me? You're what, 2 years old?
2 in dragon years. It is your move. Why did you play that piece just now?
It's a Pandaren board game. The object is for both players to win.
That's ridiculous. Why would you even play?
That line,
Champion,
while a joke,
return now to the eye.
Says a lot about Wrathion's mentality. Also, once again, great thanks to Nobel the Noble for the assistance in this footage for the reclamation, blah blah blah, etc.
Isle of the Thunder King. I will meet you at the Forge, where together we will create an instrument of legendary power.
To what end? What are you two working towards?
World peace.
Using a Mogu weapon forge whose powers you barely understand.
My dear Prince, you and I share the same goals. We only differ in our level of commitment. Come, hero. Let us shape a new Azeroth together.
Hey there. Can you believe, my friend? If you blindly trust a black dragon in the search for greater power, are you any better than Garrosh Hellscream? Please, just be careful.
Is there such a thing as a righteous war? The trillium you brought me must be refined for our purposes. This foundry should be sufficient. Help me manipulate the molds. The Shadowpan are here. They may be of use to us. We should help.
Notice what he says, by the way. Not, the Shadowpawn are in danger, or, they are allies. He says, they may be of use to us, so we should help them.
This foundry should be sufficient. We will empower the metal with an electrical charge. Be ready to fight if we draw too much attention. The battle for Pandaria rages on. Excellent. The materials are prepared. Follow me. How interesting. This forge is built atop ancient Titan machinery. Lei Shen, you clever, clever tyrant you. Now, if I were a dwarf, I would just start randomly pushing buttons, but you and I are here for a purpose. Look at that. How easy it must have been for Lei Shen to build an empire, for he wielded the power to create worlds. The Mogu used only a fraction of the resources available to them. Few among them possessed the cunning of the Thunder King. What's this? Anomaly detected. Anomaly? Look at that. This old Titan technology is acting like a magnet for the Shah. You're an expert at destroying Shah by now. Clean up this mess. Perhaps if I overcharge the forge, it will destabilize this Shah nuisance. Let's try. There. Problem solved. Oh, I may have spoken too soon. The Shah grows in strength. Destroy it! You aren't harboring any bad thoughts, are you?
Just at you, Wrathion. Just at you.
Very effective against the Shah, but each one can only be used once. The lance is finished. Quickly, hurl it at the Shah. Our work is complete. We have forged a masterpiece. We are done here, but the weapon is not yet tempered. You must thrust the spear into the heart of the Stormlord while he still lives. Be careful. The moment it pierces his hide, you will be assaulted by his power. It is important to throw the spear just before slaying the beast. Not a moment too soon, not a moment too late. I must make preparations back on the mainland. Return to me at the Veiled Stair when you have what I need. Oh, and don't die.
Love you too, buddy.
Crackles with anger. The clouds are with vengeance.
Tom, is that our friend? Meet me atop Mason's Folly, where we met before.
What are you two plotting?
I keep no secrets. You are welcome to accompany us, Anduin Rin, if your injury permits. Truly a splendor. Have you ever seen such a view, Prince Anduin?
It's breathtaking.
It's about to get even more awe-inspiring. Champion, behold the fruits of your labors. At the dawn of the world, when the mortal races were young, they did not yet possess the secrets of fire. They shivered in the cold and the rain, until, in one instant, lightning tore the sky. It rent a tree asunder and set it aflame. The mortals gathered around the fire in awe and wonder. It could cook their food and warm their homes. They seized it and protected it. They fed the fire every hour of every day. Hot coals were carried from one primitive camp to the next. Do you see? In a single flash of light, civilization was born. Truly, lightning is a gift of the gods. The Mogu. The Mogu. Their minds were so small. They were built to serve. And when they lost their masters, they served themselves. But they could have been so much more. They built an empire when they could have built a new world. We will do better, champion. Behold, the crown of heaven, my gift to you. You are the ember. You are the spark. You are the fire that will spread across the world. You will awaken Azeroth's potential. Come to me. We know now that the Mogu share their roots with the Titans, but many mysteries remain. Why were they here? Why Pandaria? What were the Mogu sent here to guard or destroy? We are missing the final puzzle pieces.
Champion,
and you
I would think twice
will help
before
me
putting
find
that
them.
thing on your head.
The crown I have given you will be as your third eye. It will tie us together. I will see what you see. Together, we will lay the secrets of the Titans bare. I will be watching you closely, hero.
Champion, I would think twice before putting that thing on your head. We're far from home, friend.
So, I'm going to talk about Wrathion now, because I've kind of avoided talking about him overall, not counting the few times he's been brought up completely out of sequence. I can only give you my opinion on Wrathion, so I'll do that as soon as I answer Venter's question. Pretty strong Venters, but nowhere near at artifact level. I would say well-forged, to use a rather rough and generic term. So, Wrathion, as I mentioned before, he's a little more of a crafter than a person, and we've seen this twice now. Once when he crafts the Shaw-infused weapon gem, and once when he crafts the helm enchantment to allow people to see through him. He also crafts that spear, which will basically be his weapon from hence on. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he is still wielding that spear in Legion. He should be. It's a damned powerful weapon we made for him, which is infused with Nalic, and was made by a Titan Forge. So, I mean, for God's sakes. And I like that he actually had that spear crafted for himself, not us. Partially because it's kind of a bait and switch, since this is the legendary chain. You figured maybe you're getting a big, powerful spear. But also because it fits Wrathion's perspective. Remember, he is not that personally powerful. However, he knows he needs personal power. And one of the easiest and simplest ways to get personal power is to have a very powerful weapon empowering you. Right? Anywho, my interpretation of Wrathion is that he is essentially good, but very, very confused in his perspective. He definitely, we will see more of this in the future, but most of his personality, in my opinion, is laid bare by the way he talks. Later on, the White Tiger asks him a question. What is the nature of power? And his answer is, to defeat your enemies. Oh, okay, thank you, Imperium Bot. When the Tiger says, well, can't you use power to help your friends? And Wrathion says, well, yes, I suppose. And Tiger asks, how do you use power to help your friends? And he says, by using it to defeat their enemies. It is a very excellent way to explain Wrathion's mentality. He is a black dragon through and through. He believes in power. He believes in action. He believes in, well, I thought of a way to phrase this earlier while I was cleaning myself up. Wrathion believes he's right. But when I say he believes he's right, I don't really think I'm getting that across correctly. So to explain what I mean a little bit more, it's not just the fact that he thinks he's right, because most people think that. You know, oh yes, this is the correct path. It's more like Wrathion is actually a fairly normal person when it comes to it. Yeah, I figured Deutsch. In other words, most people would look at the situation. In fact, in real life, players have looked at the situation and said, well, this is what should be done. Or this is what should be done. And most people don't say that with uncertainty. They say that thinking that their intended solution is correct, right? You don't really say, well, this should be done because it'll never work. Wrathion, after he saw the situation the world was in, had the visions of the Legion coming, saw the manipulative nature of the good guys from the Red Dragon flight, and decided, this is what should happen. Now, the thing is, it has never occurred to Wrathion that he's wrong. See, Wrathion believes in a unified force to fight against the Legion. Okay. He also believes there is no way that there would ever be peace between the various disparate factions of Azeroth. And in the interest of fairness, he has a bit of a point there. The odds of there being peace are kind of low. So his solution is to back one of the powers to crush and destroy the other, so we have a unified army. I'll talk a little bit more about Wrathion's perspective and personality as we showcase more of him. But I mention this because some people mistakenly think of Wrathion as an evil, deranged person. I don't think that's really fair. He may or may not be good. He may or may not be someone aligned towards the forces of right. But calling him flat out evil, I think, is just not doing the complexity of his character service. He does have a decent amount of complexity in his personality. He thinks this, but also this. He thinks that, but also this. There's shadings there, and you'll see more of that as we go through. But I am going to go ahead and cut it off. It's almost 10 here, and I still need to do my go-to-bed thing. I might just skip it and just kind of crash over there. Tomorrow, as you can see over there in the upper left, it's Tuesday, so it's they're going to do maintenance. Hopefully the maintenance will not last long. Hopefully it'll only be short. If that's true, then we're okay. So I am hopeful that we'll be able to start bright and early without issue. If we're not, I'll still be in Twitch chat. I'll just, not be able to stream. So I hope you've enjoyed the first two halves of Pandaria's Endgame. We have lots and lots more to go through, which is part of why I think cutting off is the good idea here. Tomorrow, I swear tomorrow we'll actually finish Pandaria. I'll see you guys then.